Good morning, Jacqueline.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us again.
Of course, my pleasure.
I always love these conversations. I always get good ideas.
Oh, good. I love
I'm
to hear
I'm sure we all do.
that. Well, I'm just going to jump right in because we do have a packed, well, we have extra time at the end. So we will have some networking and some more time for conversations at the end. I put it at the end because I'm going to record the beginning part so that we can send it out to the whole network and prospective members, all of that. And then I'll pause the recording before we start to just have some conversations together. So that part will be um, just for us, for those of us that are in this container today. So welcome everybody. I did want to acknowledge our sponsors. We have two new sponsors, Delivery Biz Pro and MarketWorks. Both of them are presenting sponsors, so they're actually on the agenda and they will tell you a little bit about their organizations and how they work with farmers markets. So that'll be a little bit later today. Oops. So here's our agenda. I'm going to start out with an intro to the Utah Farmers Market Network. Those of you who don't know me, I am Jacqueline Pace. I'm the director of the Utah Farmers Market Network, and I'm happy to be here and happy to be able to be in community with all of you. We're gonna then at 10:20, we're having about 20-minute sessions. So at 10:20, Hannah Goggin from the Department of Health and Human Services is going to give us an update on SNAP and Double Up, Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, all of the programs that DHHS runs and organizes. Then we're going to have Natalie Kane from UDAF, the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food, talk about how farmers markets register with UDAF. At 11, we'll have Emily Ashby from Utah's Own talk about their farmers market scholarships, which is a great opportunity for farmers markets that they have every year. At 11:20, we have Bryce Hanson with the Small Business Development Center at Salt Lake Community College, and he's going to do a Small Business 101. One thing that we have found in our research is that um, really, farmers markets are incubators for small businesses. Most small businesses throughout the state start at a farmers market. So it's really a great place to start your business and really learn how to grow. At 11:40, we'll have Seth Resnick from Delivery Biz Pro present about the online farmers market marketplace that they have developed. This is an exciting new opportunity that I hope some of you will take advantage of. At noon, Chris Quinlan from MarketWorks is going to talk about managing your market with MarketWorks. So they are a market management software and they have a new app that they just developed. So he's going to tell us all about that. And then at 12:20, we're going to start our networking circle. So that's where we'll pause the recording. We'll have a chance to all network together as a whole group and then do some breakout rooms. And we have about 40 minutes for that. I know in the past people have said they really wanted more space for networking. So I made sure to add that into our agenda. Any questions about the agenda so far? Okay, so I'm just going to jump right into talking about the Utah Farmers Market Network. So we are part of USU Extension, Utah State University Extension. We're a program. USU is a nonprofit university, so therefore the Utah Farmers Market Network is a nonprofit program. We do not get any funding from the university, so we really are dependent on grants. In the past, we've been FMPP, USDA, Farmers Market Promotion Program grant funded. So we got two back-to-back FMPP grants that have funded the Farmers Market Network for really about the past 6 years. Our current FMPP ends on March 31st. So as of this point, we are officially out of funding. We are doing, fundraising, sponsorship, membership drive, all of that to help continue the network on. And I'll talk a little bit about that at the end of my presentation. Um, so we did just update our mission statement. Our old mission statement didn't really encompass the breadth of what we do at the Utah Farmers Market Network. Our updated mission statement really just kind of keeps all of puts all of the operations and the opportunities into a more succinct kind of mission. So the Utah Farmers Market Network supports farmers markets through communication, collaboration, and professional development. We've always done that. We really focus on building community, uplifting agriculture, and incubating small businesses throughout Utah. So we've really moved to, because of the research that we've done, we see how much community building farmers markets do in their communities. And so we wanted to add a piece about that community building in our mission statement. We have always uplifted agriculture. We know that there are lots of different types of markets out there these days, but a farmer's market is unique because it focuses on agriculture and really supports local farmers. But also we see that farmers markets are incubating small businesses throughout the state. And so we wanted to make sure to highlight that in our mission and make sure that we're really supporting these small businesses that are starting out at farmers markets. So we estimate that there are about 60 markets throughout the state. It's really difficult to get an exact number because markets are opening all the time and closing all the time. But the estimate is about 60 markets throughout the state. 26 of those are members of the Utah Farmers Market Network. So in the past, because we have had lots of grant funding, we have kept our membership open to all markets across the state. But due to funding constraints, we have had to limit membership to basically a paid membership model. So our fees I'll talk about a little bit later. They're pretty modest, but they do help us keep the network in operation. So we would love to have more of you join us if you're not members already, and I'll talk about membership in a minute here. So this is a list of all of our member markets. We have some of, the largest markets in the state, like Farmers Market Ogden and the Downtown Farmers Market, as part of our network. Our network. We also have much smaller markets, so we have a big range of markets throughout the state that are members. This QR code here will bring you to our membership page on our website and tell you all about pricing, all about the advantages of membership, which I'll touch on as well. But if you do have questions about membership, feel free to reach out to us. Also, you can reach out to any of these markets and ask them what their experience has been with membership. We do really appreciate having markets as part of the network because, as I said, our funding has run out and we're really dependent on sponsorships and market membership. We have opened our membership to vendors as well. So we have a handful of vendors, and we're really trying to gear some of what the network does to helping members start out and thrive. Start helping vendors to start out in farmers markets and thrive once they're there. Our sponsors so far are Beehive Cheese, Western Ag Credit, Utah Zone, MarketWorks, Farm to Fork, and Delivery Biz Pro. As I said, we're always looking for more sponsors, and we really appreciate anyone who is willing to help us financially to keep the network going and support farmers markets across the state. We have quite a few partners that we work with. Many of these are on our advisory council, which I'll talk about in a minute. But we have lots of partners throughout the state. So we really have worked hard to build connections with organizations that do work in food policy or food security around the state, as well as throughout the country. So we are partners with Farmers Market Coalition, which is a national organization that supports farmers markets and does a lot of policy work. We are partners with universities like Utah Tech, obviously USU Extension, as we are a program of them. Department of Health and Human Services, the North American Food Systems Network. I'm actually on their community council, and so we have a partnership with them to bring more training and opportunities to our member markets. Our advisory council was put together last year to basically support the network. So, as many of you know, the network is very small. It's basically just three of us that work together um, to keep the network going. And so I put together this advisory council to make sure that we were hearing from voices that are impacted by the work that we do, and also that we have support in the work that we do. So the advisory council really steers the direction of the network. And we meet once a month to make decisions about which way the network is going. They provide a lot of support in grant writing and writing letters of recommendation for grants or offering in-kind match for grants. So our advisory council members are Aaron O'Brien and Josh Cafferty from Utah Tech University, Blue Cook from the Downtown Farmers Market in Salt Lake City, which is also part of the Downtown Alliance, Gina Cornea from Utahns Against Hunger, Caroline Hargraves and Natalie Kane from Utah Department of Agriculture and Food, Emily Ashby from Utah's Own, Adelaide Corey Dish from Utah Farm Bureau, Rosalind Brain McCann, and myself from Utah State University Extension, Denise Christensen from Good for Life Markets, Natalie Lutz and Hannah Goggin, Utah Department of Health and Human Services, Bryce Hansen from the Utah Small Business Development Center at Salt Lake Community College, Connie from Women's Business Center of Utah, and Laura and Rachel from Empowered Community Markets. So I want to take a minute to thank all of them. They donate their time every month to come together and really work to support Utah's farmers markets and the Utah Farmers Market Network. So I want to talk a little bit about benefits of membership. So one benefit is an active role in Utah's local food and small business movement. So members are always asked to weigh in on different projects that we're doing. We meet once a month and have monthly member calls where they can either just network, ask questions, or offer suggestions for the network. There's also tons of training, professional development, and networking opportunities. Many of these are members only. We do open some of these, like State Day, to people that are not, or to non-members, because we do want to offer what we can to everybody in the state. But we do have a lot of members only training, professional development, and networking sessions. Marketing and outreach support. Every year we do a huge marketing push for National Farmers Market Week, which is the first full week in August. And we send out stickers. We send out, usually we do a bingo card that you can hand out to customers. We send out research briefs about research that we've conducted. So lots of materials that you can hand out to your customers at your market. Food access and community impact support. So we do work with Utahns Against Hunger, with UDAF, with Department of Health and Human Services, and you all are invited to those conversations to talk about how we can get food access expanded throughout the state and what impact our community has, our markets have on our communities. We also offer operational and technical support. So most members of the network have my personal phone number. They just call me or text me when they have an issue, especially with operations or technical support. So we're really just here to support our members any way we can. There's also member discounts and cost savings. So if you become a member of the Utah Farmers Market Network, you also become a member of NAFSN, the North American Food System Leadership Network, and Farmers Market Coalition. We're also working with other organizations to provide member discounts or no-cost memberships to those organizations as well. And then, of course, partnership and networking opportunities. So we're always happy to partner with markets to show up and help with events or anything that you may need at your market. So pricing, we're doing a special this year. First year markets of any size are just $25 for their first year. Micro markets, 2 to 10 vendors are $50 per year. Small markets, 11 to 25 vendors are 100 per year. And large markets, 51 and over vendors are 150 per year. If you have an organization that runs multiple markets, it's $50 extra per market location. So you choose, generally that goes under the large vendor size, and then so it's 150 plus 50 per market location. So I want to spend the last 5 minutes I have here talking about something really important that we do at the Utah Farmers Market Network, which is data collection. We know as market managers or people who work in markets that there are lots of impacts to our communities and to the state, to the economy. But we feel it's really important to actually collect data on those impacts. And so in 2023, we started a 3-year data collection project. We started out with 3 markets, the downtown Salt Lake City market, Wheeler Farm, and Carbon Emery, which is in Price, in 2023. In 2024, we added 3 more markets, the downtown St. George market, Ogden, and Murray Park. And then in 2025, we added another 3 markets, Hurricane, Festival City, and Mill Creek. And we collected data at all 9 of these markets over the course of 3 years to find out what the impacts of these farmers markets are having on their communities. This here shows the way we collected a lot of this data, which was sticker surveys. So customers came up, put stickers on these boards to answer questions about their behavior at each market. The first year, this is some of the data that we found between 2000 and 18,000 were the average vendor sales, depending on the size of the market, depending on the vendor. We found that people spend between $19 and $52 a week at markets, which is a pretty good amount of revenue that market is bringing in. We also found that there was up to $43,000 in food distributed to low-income households through markets across the state, which is a pretty amazing number. And these are available on our website. I can also send out this presentation to you if you want to look at these a little bit deeper. So some impacts that we gleaned from the research that we have done is that farmers markets help build community. So up to 89% of customers reported visiting the market every week. Markets stimulate local economies. Customers spent an average of $29 to $52 per day at the market. So that's per customer. Farmers markets support local businesses. Vendors reported an average of $2,000 to $18,000 in season sales. More than $43,000 worth of food was distributed. This was actually based just on 2023 and 2024 data. So farmers markets increase access to local food. They support small businesses. 51 to 80% of vendors reported starting their small business at a farmer's market. And they support gender equality. 40 to 70% of vendors reported being women or non-binary owned businesses. So this is a copy. It's a draft, not the final copy of the impact report that we are putting together right now about the data that we collected from 2023 to 2025. So this is in the process of being finalized, and this will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. This also will be sent to all of our member markets to distribute. It's basically a one-pager front and back that really communicates the power of Utah farmers markets and the impacts they have on their communities. So we do see here the distance that people travel. The vast majority, 46% of customers surveyed, travel 0 to 5 miles to their local market. So we know that the biggest percentage of market goers are going to markets that are within 5 miles of their house. Customers, by and large, 18 to 29-year-olds are the largest population of market goers. We have up to 82,000 people that said they spend between $25 and $50 a week at the market, but there is a range there. And some people spend over $100 per week at their market. And customers say their reasons for visiting, the largest reason is to look around. So that shows us that it's a community gathering place. People aren't always sure what they're going to the market for, but they show up and look around and see what catches their eye. So these kind of things really help us tell what markets should be focusing on when they're doing their social media outreach or their marketing. Um, Beyond all of this, we are planning to collect data at markets starting this summer across southern Utah to find out what the impacts of vendors experience at markets is and what customers say draws them to certain booths or what they're looking for at farmers markets. So we do have a plan to continue doing data collection and research on the impacts of farmers markets across the state. Um, One of the goals that we have, we did create a market manager handbook in 2024. It is available on our website. If you need a print copy of that, you can email me and let me know. We do provide those for members free of cost. The market manager handbook is available, like I said, on our website to everybody free of cost. We are working on a vendor handbook now. So this is just a preliminary copy. We have a graduate student at Utah Tech University who has put together this preliminary copy. Oh, I meant to put in the table of contents there, but it looks like I missed that. But this will basically walk vendors through how to become a vendor at a farmer's market. Right now, there's not really a set of rules for vendors or a resource for vendors. So we're really aiming to take the weight off of market managers' shoulders by providing them and their vendors a handbook of what they need to be successful at farmers markets. So I did want to mention before I'm done, and I'm already 2 minutes over my time, but um, we are out of funding for the Utah Farmers Market Network. We do have a small backup account that has a few $1,000s in it that will keep us going at least through the summer. And we are hoping to get more grants. We are waiting to hear about a specialty crop block grant to help us fund that farmers market vendor handbook. Um, but we basically need about 2,000 a month to continue the Utah Farmers Market Network as is. That's doing our monthly member calls, our monthly newsletter, direct member support, continue our social media, continue applying for grants, and then those monthly advisory council meetings. Currently, we have brought in about $1,725 in membership revenue and $1,500 in sponsors. That's actually up to $2,500 in sponsors. So that's about the amount of money we have left to work with, which is, about $5,000. So any support you all can provide, any grants that you want to partner on, any ideas you have for helping us raise funds. As I said, we are a nonprofit program, so we can apply for many grants and things as a nonprofit. Um, and that's about it for the Utah Farmers Market Network. So I am going to hand it over to Hannah at the Department of Health and Human Services. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to put them in the chat or email me or stay on at the end, and I'll be around after the networking circle to answer any questions.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Sorry, I was having issues with my camera, so I'll try to figure that out as I'm going through. But in the meantime, would you like me to share my screen, or did you have the presentations pulled up,
If,
Jacqueline?
if
What's
you
easy?
have if you have it up and you want to share, you can do that, or I can pull it up. I didn't have it already pulled up.
Oh, no worries. Then I can do that. Here we go. Oh, is it at the top? Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Ever see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. As Jacqueline said, my name is Hannah Goggin, and I am with the Department of Health and Human Services. Today, I'm just going to give a quick, brief 2026 Nutrition Incentive Programs update. Specifically, this will be targeted towards farmers markets operating this year. Our agenda will just go over a 2025 season overview. I'll present on our 2026 program updates. I'll give a quick review over reporting and reimbursement, and hopefully I will have time for any questions that you have at the end of this presentation. The first thing I wanted to present on is why this work is important. We consider our nutrition incentive programs a triple win. Improves access to healthy foods, farmers make more money, and it produces stronger local economies. Our 2025 season stats looks like about 65 locations. Of that, 43 were farmers markets. We currently serve about 14 counties, and last year we had about 7,126 customers. 3,942 of those were new, and 3,184 were returning. As you can see for our Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, this year we did overall distribution was less for all of our nutrition incentives. However, this year in 2025 was the highest redemption rate in program history at about 88%. So moving forward, we definitely want to focus on that redemption rate, just trying to increase it as much as possible so those seniors who are able to receive this benefit are really maximizing that incentive. For Double Up and SNAP, it was very, very similar. Overall, distribution was lower, but you can actually see that more SNAP was redeemed at farmers markets in 2025 than in 2024, even given the lower incentive amounts. And Double Up also had a much higher redemption rate in 2025 compared to 2024 at about 99% redemption rate, which is definitely the highest in program history as well. So that is really great to see that people are using this benefit. The 1-to-2 match and Double Up is still proving to be very impactful as well. Overall, here's our total economic impact. Since SNAP was redeemed in 2011, Double Up 2015, Senior Farmers Market in 2022, and Producer X in 2017 at farmers markets, more than $3.4 million in nutrition incentives has been redeemed at farmers markets in Utah. So now I'll go into the 2026 updates for these three programs you can see right here: Double Up Food Bucks, Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, and Utah Produce RX. I have combined all of the updates into this slide, and then the rest of my presentation will be going through them one by one. But first and foremost, the incentive amounts remain the same. Double Up will still operate on a 1-to-2 ratio, up to $20 per day. Senior Farmers Market will be one $50 coupon per eligible senior while supplies last. Producer X is up to $300 in the form of $20 vouchers for customers to use over the course of 6 months. The second update is we are now implementing a universal customer ID. So all three programs will utilize the same formula for customers. And that will be the first name initial plus their last name initial plus the last 4 digits of their phone number. The third is we'll be transitioning from our Produce Path online data software to Qualtrics. We have been able to push back this transition date to winter 2026, 2027. So I will have more information on the slides coming up. For Senior Farmers Market, verifying IDs in Produce Path will no longer be required prior to distributing the benefit for seniors. PRX is not receiving an extension. So currently all funds we have for that program must be spent out by August 31st, 2026. We have created a 3-in-1 online vendor form where vendors can go through, select the programs they would like to accept and the market that they will be vending at, and have that all just online for vendors to complete. And then just an update with SNAP is that just a reminder about the soft drink restriction, and that Sunbucks or summer EBT is looking unlikely to happen for 2026 at this point in time. So we'll kind of go through one by one now. Here is a program, just programs at a glance for all of the incentives. Double up the 1 to 2, up to 20 per day. That would be for SNAP customers. DHS provides double up tokens, currencies of $1 and $5. And you can see the eligible products are fresh, locally grown fruits, veggies, herbs, food-bearing plants, and seeds. Senior Farmers Market is $50 per year for low-income seniors. They'll receive a $50 coupon booklet with 10 $5 coupons, which can be used to purchase fresh, locally grown fruits, veggies, herbs, and honey. Produce RX is up to $300 for qualifying patients. They'll receive that $20 vouchers that can be used to spend on fresh, frozen, canned, locally grown fruits and vegetables. The Universal Customer ID is to simplify program administration and to improve data evaluation across all 3 of these programs. Now we will no longer have that data break with each program having a different customer ID. I provided an example using my name and my phone number. So given that, my unique customer ID would be HG0136. The transition from Produce Path to Qualtrics. Case Western Reserve University, who operates the software for Produce Path, announced that reduced federal funding may result in the termination of their services. So to avoid possible disruption, our team is exploring Qualtrics as an alternative, and I provided a timeline here below. So we're hoping to have a select number of markets pilot our Qualtrics data entry, and then all other sites will continue to enter data into Produce Path as normal. In fall 2026, we'll gather feedback from those pilot markets to inform updates, make any changes that are needed. So when winter 2026-2027 comes, we can transition the remaining markets to Qualtrics. But in the meantime, please continue to use Produce Path as normal. Senior Farmers Market has had a self-declaration change that was this update was driven by USDA policy and our program's technology changes with a transition from Produce Path to Qualtrics. So with that in mind, the no ID verification. Markets are no longer required to verify seniors' customer IDs within Produce Path prior to distributing Senior Farmers Market coupons. Seniors will now self-declare all eligibility requirements, so their address, age, income, and coupon issuance. Distribution sites will not be financially responsible for potential due participation since there's currently no way that markets are able to track this, but we just, of course, encourage everyone to be as diligent as possible just to keep up with program integrity. So with that, we have market and staff action items. Just ensure the forms that seniors are filling out and just include their name, address, date of birth, income, and annual one-time use certification, participant signature and date, and the market assigned customer ID. Thankfully, the senior self-declaration form format has not changed. It'll still be collecting all of the same information at the top. We've also just included the proxy form right into this, so there's now not a separate proxy form that a senior will have to fill out. The bottom is the most significant change where seniors are going to have to self-declare all of 4 of those eligibility requirements. They'll still sign and date, and at the very bottom, if you would just please put in their customer ID, that way only one page has to be scanned to DHHS at the end of the season. Through this form, vendors can select the specific programs they wish to accept and identify the markets authorized to operate each program. So we do have a link for vendors to use that goes through each program. They're able to select which farmers market they will also be operating at. I meant to link, I have the link in the form in this, which will be included in a PDF that I'm happy to send out. I also meant to include a link to a spreadsheet that will show all of the vendors that have submitted an online vendor form, so market managers will be able to refer to that as well. SNAP update. Just a reminder that Utah residents using SNAP benefits can no longer buy soft drinks due to HB 403 and a USDA waiver. I have included a link that takes you to a infographic from DWS that just kind of walks you through like, is a soft drink, what is eligible, ineligible. And if you have any questions, this is the email that you're able to contact just for clarifications. And then if there are customers with questions, they should be directed to their My Case portal or call this number listed here. And as for Sunbucks or Summer EBT, the 2025 Utah legislature passed Sunbucks or Summer EBT as a one-time appropriation, and currently this will not be offered for the summer of 2026. Okay, now we'll just do a quick refresher for those here for all of the individual programs. So Double Up and Snap. Double Up matches Snap 1 to 2, so participants get twice the fruit and veggies. Shoppers can earn up to $20 per day to spend on fresh local produce. SNAP provides food benefits to low-income families to support their grocery budget. Here is more on the 1 to 2 match. So the action is if a customer spends $5 in SNAP, the result is they will receive $10 in Double Up for a total transaction of $15. And this pattern continues on. If customers spend $15 in SNAP, however, they receive $20 in Double Up for a total of $35, seeing as they have already hit that $20 per day Double Up cap. I do want that customers can spend as much SNAP as they have in their account. You will just treat it as a normal debit card, really, but that $20 per day cap for Double Up will still be relevant. The Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program is designed to provide low-income seniors with access to fresh, locally grown fruits, veggies, herbs, and honey. Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program offers an annual $50 coupon booklet for eligible seniors to spend at participating locations. 2026 Senior Farmers Market key dates. Distribution for this program will begin on May 1st, 2026, and seniors are able to be enrolled in the program through September 30th, 2026. Seniors are able to redeem and spend those coupons starting May 1st through October 15th. So October 15th is the last day that vendors are able to accept Senior Farmers Market as payment. That is regardless of when your market might end. So just please note that date, as I know sometimes it's kind of like right in the middle of the week and can be confusing for seniors to remember. I also wanted to note that the coupons this year they should be brown, like a light brown, I'm told. So hopefully those will look different enough from the yellow ones, so it'll be easier to distinguish the 2025 to the 2026 coupons. For Utah Produce RX, this is implemented in healthcare settings by providers prescribing increased produce as treatment. Eligible patients receive up to $300 over 6 months, depend on fresh, canned, or frozen produce at participating farmers markets and retail outlets. Just a little bit more on that funding. We did not receive a no-cost extension, so we need to have all remaining funds spent out by August 31st. The GusNet Produce Prescription Program did not issue an RFA in last year and has not issued one for this year, so this is kind of where we're at. We're hoping that federal funding for this program is released this year, so we will keep everyone updated as we hear more about that. And finally, reporting and reimbursements, just a quick refresher on the reporting workflow. We have the paper record logs that will be entered into Produce Path as the digital records, and then those will be shared with us. We please ask that you enter data within 2 weeks of the market date. However, I have provided some just very key deadlines. A reminder to submit monthly Senior Farmers Market and Produce RX reimbursement forms to us by the Monday of each month when you would like a reimbursement for those programs. Please make sure that any March, April, and May records are entered into Produce Path and shared with me by June 15th. The hardest deadline we have is our end of year fiscal date. So any records May 1st through June 30th need to be updated in Produce Path and shared with me by July 3rd. So that is quite the turnaround time, and I know this happens every season, so if you need any assistance with getting anything in at that time, please let me know. Next, please make sure all June, July, and August records are in Produce Path and shared with me by September 14th. As for season settlement, we just keep within that 2 weeks of the market date. So within 2 weeks of your end date, make sure that any final records are in Produce Path and shared with me. And for senior farmers markets, all records and coupons should be returned to us by October 30th. Excuse me. As a wrap up, I've just included a link to our 2026 Nutrition Incentive Program Manager shared Google folder, which has all copies of record sheets, vendor and staff forms, and any other resources we have. I've added some contacts for customers with questions. That includes a customer helpline that's hosted by Utahns Against Hunger, emails for any general program inquiries, and if any SNAP inquiries can be routed through these as well. And then this is my final slide. I realize I just went over by a minute. I think there might be some questions in the chat. Does anyone have any other questions?
All right. Thank you so much, Hannah. Your presentations are always so thorough and helpful. So thank you so much for being here and for giving us an update.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
I did want to let everybody know that there's an updated agenda. I neglected to add Whitney Butler, who's here with Market Link, who's going to talk to us about the Market Link program and some of the scholarships that they have. So that's going to be at 12:20 before our networking circle. And yes, Salam, I will share the slide deck with everybody. And this is also being recorded, so I will share that out as well. Okay, so next we have Natalie Kane with the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food, and she's going to talk to us about registering with UDAF and the Homemade Consumption and Homemade Food Act. Welcome, Natalie.
Hi, bear with me as I get my screen shared. All right, can you see my slides but not my notes?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, that's how I want it. Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Kane. I work at the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food, the Marketing and Economic Division. Economic Development Division. There's a typo in my slides already. Today I'm here to talk about regulations for farmers markets. So getting your farmers market registered with the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food. And also we're going to go over the two methods of sales for homemade products, which are the Cottage Food Program and Home Consumption and Homemade Food Act. So before I get too deep into regulations as they relate to UDAF, I wanted to note that there's additional regulations from other regulatory bodies, such as the local health department in your area, your local government, and the police or fire department in your area, and all of them might have regulations that apply to your farmers market as well. So we encourage you to reach out to those municipalities directly. And I also wanted to highlight that the Utah Farmers Market Network Market Manager Handbook has the information about registering with UDAF and more information about registering and complying with these other regulatory bodies in it. So that's a super valuable resource that I encourage you to take a look at. And also the upcoming vendor handbook is going to cover a lot of the information that I'll be going over about Home Consumption and Homemade Food Act and cottage food registration for vendors. So I'm really excited for that to come out as well. So I want to get right into things and just start by going over market manager responsibilities as far as UDAF is concerned. The first thing a market manager needs to do is register the market with UDAF Regulatory Services, the Retail Food Program. So if the market is a true vegetable or fruit stand where the products are only fresh, raw, whole, unprocessed, and unprepared, you don't have to worry about this step. The reason I wanted to talk about it is because every single market that has vendors that are selling processed foods like bread, muffins, chocolate, meat, etc., needs to be registered with UDAF. The reason for this is that most of the markets that are operating now are selling products that fall outside of that definition listed, with the raw, fresh, whole, unprocessed, unprepared fruits and vegetables. And that is the definition that's listed in code. So instead, UDAF inspects those markets as outdoor retail food establishments. The next slide has a video that just walks through where to find the information about how to register your market. Is the video showing? I hope it's showing. So you'll go to divisions, regulatory, retail food, and go to the overview page. On this page, you can find the plan review documents, a guide to filling out the plan review, some additional resources as that might be helpful to you as a market manager, and also some relevant code and rules. And if you have questions about how to register your market or renew an existing registration, there's also contact info at the top of this page that lists Cole Dalton. He is the Retail Food Program Manager. And as markets are registered under the Retail Food Program, that's who you would contact, or contact your UDAF inspector if you're just trying to figure out how to re-register. The second responsibility that I wanted to cover for market managers is to designate a person in charge. This is the most simple one that I'll go over today. The person in charge is responsible for vendors at the market. They must be available at the market to accompany a UDAF inspector during any routine inspection. So once you're registered, usually once per season, a UDAF inspector will come out and take a look at the market and the vendors there. And there just has to be someone on site to accompany them for that. The third market manager responsibility is what we'll spend most of our time talking about today. This is to make sure that every vendor selling products at your market is registered or licensed properly. Vendors that are selling food that they're cooking on site for immediate consumption, like food trucks and food carts, should have a local health department permit. So I won't go into those because UDAF does not oversee food trucks and food carts. What I'm going to talk about is vendors selling pre-packaged foods. These are the folks that must obtain a UDAF food establishment registration certificate unless they're operating under HB 181. And I promise I'll go into depth on that. So if a vendor comes to you and they want to sell their product at their market, at your market, but they haven't registered their food business yet and they're looking for guidance from you, how can you guide them to the correct UDAF program? How do you know which UDAF program a vendor should register with? Here's all of the UDAF divisions. Not all of them are relevant for registering a food business, but I wanted to show you the full scope. The three that are marked in green, animal industry, plant industry, and regulatory services, are the three that are the most relevant to registering a food business. The major one for farmers market vendors, especially people making value-added goods or processed foods, is going to be regulatory services, but I will talk about all three of these. So animal industry oversees animal slaughter and harvesting facilities, aquaculture, and also various levels of oversight for exempt processing. So folks that are doing processing on a smaller scale, like those who own less than 1,000 birds and they're processing those on site. Animal industry does inspections on the processing side. So they go into processing facilities and do inspections there. The USDA also does that. So if someone is selling meat at your market, they'll either be inspected by animal industry or USDA. Plant industry oversees seed crops, beekeeping, so registering hives, hay, animal feed, and pet treats. And I bolded pet treats because we always get a couple of questions about that. If a vendor wants to make and sell pet treats, they need to be registered with plant industry because that falls under animal feed. They also oversee the organic certifications and farms growing produce that falls under the produce safety rule. So that raw, uncut, unprocessed veggies. Regulatory services is probably what most vendors will be registered with, especially if they're selling value-added products like jams, breads, things like that. There are two avenues for vendors producing food at home: the Cottage Food Production and the Home Consumption and Homemade Food Act, aka HB 181. I usually refer to it as HB 181. It's a little bit less of a mouthful than Home Consumption and Homemade Food Act, so bear with me there. Because many vendors who sell food at farmers markets may produce food in their home kitchen, we've been asked to focus on these two avenues today during this presentation. But regulatory services also oversees commercial food processing through their retail food program and their manufactured food program. They also oversee the wholesale and retail compliance for meat and poultry products. So they're not going to skip over meat and poultry booths at your farmers market. They're still going to inspect those vendors while they're there. Dairy and small egg producers, so those folks who are selling eggs who have less than 3,000 laying hens. Anyone who has more than that is technically under USDA purview. They oversee honey and also voluntary inspection of cosmetics. So, as promised, we're going to focus on the most commonly asked question in regards to farmers markets as far as UDAF is concerned. Home Consumption and Homemade Food Act versus cottage food, or HB 181. Versus cottage food. Home Consumption and Homemade Food Act, HB 181 versus cottage food. There are two avenues for sales, and these only apply to those who are producing food from their homes. So if anyone is producing food in commissary kitchen or another production method outside their home, they would fall under retail food or manufactured food. So want to be very clear that these are just for folks producing food at their homes. And these two food programs have specific requirements for where foods can be sold and what types of foods are allowed to be sold. And these stipulations can mean different things for your farmer's market. So let's take a deeper look. So what are the requirements to sell foods produced under cottage food and HB 181, the Home Consumption and Homemade Food Act? Cottage Food Program is a registration program with UDAF. So folks who are selling food with a cottage food certificate of registration are producing food in their home. They're registered with UDAF. They are inspected by UDAF. And that means they can sell their products direct to the consumer or in retail outlets. And then their foods have also been inspected to make sure that they meet the labeling requirements, listing the allergen and all the other labeling requirements for cottage food. Folks selling food under HB 181 do not need to register with UDAF, but there are specific instances where they can and cannot sell their foods. Their foods must be sold in person directly to the final end consumer, only for their personal or home consumption. HB 181 foods are not for resale, so they can't be sold in retail stores. They cannot be sold to restaurants. And again, there's labeling requirements for foods being produced under HB 181, and any foods being sold under HB 181 need to meet those requirements. So what are the acceptable foods under both of these different avenues for sales? With cottage foods, this program is for shelf-stable, low-risk, and non-potentially hazardous foods. There is a full list of acceptable foods on the UDAF website, so I encourage folks to take a look at that. What we mean by shelf-stable, low-risk, and non-potentially hazardous. Some examples are cereals, trail mixes, granolas, dried fruits, dry herbs, candies, cotton candies, jams, jellies, nuts, nut mixes, popcorn, raw and creamed honey, roasted coffee beans, vanilla extract, and vinegar. Again, I encourage anyone, especially if folks are selling baked goods under cottage food registration, or they want to apply for cottage food registration to sell their baked goods, to read the full list on the UDAF website, because it's comprehensive and it will explain why and why not certain products are allowed under this registration. Here's some example of things that are not allowed. Anything that's high risk or potentially hazardous, so basically not shelf stable, needs time or temperature control for safety. Things that are refrigerated, things that are frozen, products that contain meat or poultry, any cheesecakes, custards, baked goods with high amounts of dairy in them, other canned, high risk, or potentially hazardous foods. Again, please read the full list on the cottage food website. The program manager for this program is also really good at explaining what foods fall in and out of this program too. So I'll have her contact information at the end. Under HB 181, what foods can be sold? So any food that is being sold directly to the final end consumer, except for meat, products containing meat, or raw unpasteurized dairy products. These things cannot be sold under HB 181. There are very limited exceptions to super specific meat products like rabbit and some types of poultry. So anyone who wants to sell rabbit or that type of poultry, I encourage them to read the entire Home Consumption and Homemade Food Act, or at least call someone at UDAF to ask if they still fall under this act. What do these two different home production laws mean for your farmer's market? So those were the vendor considerations. Now let's look at, what does this look like on the ground at a farmer's market? So with cottage food, the cottage food law allows registered cottage food vendors to sell their products at markets. You check the vendor's certificate of registration with UDAF. It'll say cottage food on there, and this means that they've been inspected and their labeling has been approved. If a vendor says they want to sell their product under HB 181, make sure that the vendor has signage on their booth to inform customers that their product does not benefit from inspection. Their product should also be labeled with a statement to that effect as well. Again, there's super limited exceptions for HB 181 products where they could also be sold at exclusive direct-to-sale markets where it's clear to the consumer shopping there that none of the products are inspected at all. Again, I recommend reading the full code from the Home Consumption and Homemade Food Act if you're considering this option, or reach out to UDAF to see, is my market a direct-to-sale market, or do I need to register with UDAF and, follow these considerations for my HB 181 vendors? We have a page dedicated to farmers market resources on the website. All of the information that I shared today can be found on the UDAF website. A lot of it is aggregated on this page. You'll find the information that I shared about regulations for farmers markets with links to all of those applicable divisions, animal, plant, regulatory. Market manager responsibilities that I shared are also on this page. We have direct links to the Utah Farmers Market Network, where you can find the market manager handbook that I mentioned. And there's also information about marketing products at farmers markets. Jacqueline shared that throughout the network recently, but that is on this page. And then there's also a FAQ. There's a tool on this page that I built that also might help vendors figure out which regulatory path they need to follow for their business. So that could be helpful to direct vendors to there as well. And And then here's the contact information that I mentioned. So Cole Dalton, he's over our retail food program. He will be the one that you reach out to get your market registered and set up. Rebecca Nielsen is the program manager over Cottage Foods. She's awesome with labeling. So if you have vendors who have questions about labeling their products properly, she is the one to reach out to. Travis Waller oversees all regulatory services. And then we have a new manufactured food program manager, Sarah. She's been an inspector for UDAF for a while, so she's super knowledgeable as well. If you have folks who are producing food outside of their home kitchen, so in like a commissary kitchen or another production method, she's the one to reach out to for that. And I'll share my slides so that you have all that contact information. But thank you. And please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Natalie. We do have one question in the chat. So no to pickled items, even if not fermented, but just brine and water bath canned?
That is a super good question. If folks want to make that out of their home, I recommend reaching out to Rebecca. I know it's not on the list of approved foods, but I would say reach out to Rebecca and she can walk you through why or why not your product may or may not be considered. Unfortunately, I'm not like a food safety health inspector, so I don't have all the answers, but I recommend reaching out to her.
Thank you so much, Natalie. This is
Of course.
really a wealth of information. There's a lot to navigate, so we definitely want to make sure that they have the information they need. One more question. Do people with backyard chickens with very small flocks, are they required to also register with UDAF?
I would definitely reach out to animal industry about that. If you are going to be processing the chickens on your property and selling it, I recommend just asking someone at animal industry what might be involved with that process. If you're processing it for yourself, that's a different story.
What about just selling eggs?
Selling eggs, that falls under regulatory services. There is a page on the UDAF website about how to prep and sell your eggs if you have less than 3,000 laying hens, which most folks with chickens in their backyard do. So I recommend taking a peek at that. That's under regulatory services as well. It says regulatory services and then eggs and poultry.
And then can you put the link in the chat to the website to help a vendor determine which regulatory channel to pursue?
For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. That link is in a few different places. I'll just pull it from the farmers market resources page. So on the farmers market, I'm not still sharing.
Yes, you
I'll
are.
just show you where to find
still
it
see
really
it.
quick. You still see it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. So on this page, farmers market resources, if you scroll down, here's the links to all of those different industries. And then not sure which regulatory program applies, start here. So I'll drop this link in the chat.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, thank you, Natalie.
Of course. Sorry to bleed into your time, Emily.
No apology needed, Natalie. That's always really good information. That was really like a lot of good information presented very well.
thorough.
So well done.
No problem. Feel free to reach out if you all have more questions.
Wonderful. All right. So Emily, you're up next. We have
Hey.
Emily Ashby with Utah's Own, and she's going to talk to us about the farmers market scholarships. So welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. And I will tell you that, oh, is my screen sharing? I think
is.
it is, but it's not the right screen. So let's see here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but okay, let's see if I can. Oh boy, what's happening here? Let me see if I can just pull this over really fast. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Is it kind of wonky, but it's coming over. Can you see the Utah's Own?
We see Purpose of Utah's Own.
Oh, great. Okay, I can't see that for on myself, so. Okay, so can you see this now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Jacqueline, and thanks to all of you program managers. On behalf of UDAF, I would just like to say thank you for all you're doing for the ag and food industries and local businesses throughout the state. You really are making a big difference and impact and helping in so many ways, our economies, families, neighbors, communities. So it's awesome what you do. I'm excited to be here today to talk a little bit about Utah Zone and then what the sponsorships we're going to be offering this year are to market managers, to farmers markets across the state. So just thought I'd start with explaining a little bit about Utah Zone and what we are and why we're even doing sponsorships. So we are a part of the Department of Agriculture and Food, and our mission is to support and promote Utah's agriculture, food, and Utah source businesses. And just on a side note, UDAF does have a farmers market directory on our website. It's hubbed under Utah Zone. It's not necessarily a part of Utah Zone. It is a free directory. And if you could email and maybe screenshot or we can get this information out, I can put it in the chat. Your market information, Adriana Franco is the one who updates that website, and we'd love to get that updated and that information out to the public. We're already getting inquiries about how to find farmers markets. We get a lot of that at UDAF, so if you could do that, that would be awesome. But back to Utah Zone, I'm just going to play this video, and it just kind of explains the purpose of Utah Zone, the benefits, and we can just kind of talk about the rest after. So let me know if you can see this. Can you hear that?
No, I don't hear the audio. I see the video.
Okay, let me just pull up then really fast. I'm going to share a different screen. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I see it, but I don't hear it.
Oh, how weird. Oh no. Anybody have any problem?
Can you put subtitles on and we can just watch with subtitles?
Yeah, we could do that. That's such a bummer though. I wonder why it's content only. Oh, share sound. Let's go. Here we go.
There we go.
Oh, you have to have that.
Utah is a state of incredible beauty and rich agricultural heritage. For generations, farmers, producers, and food artisans across the state have worked the land and built businesses that feed their communities and support local economies. In 2002, the state of Utah created a membership program to help support and promote these businesses. This program is called Utah's Own. As one of 40 state-run programs throughout the nation, Utah's Own is a network that represents the backbone of the country. Connecting consumers to local agriculture, food, and Utah-sourced products is one of Utah's Own main objectives. Members of Utah's Own are offered a wide range of resources to help them succeed, including marketing and promotional support. You can find information about each member and learn where to purchase their products in the directory on our website. Members receive permission to use Utah's Own logo to set themselves apart on their promotional materials, including labels, social media, and retail locations. With a robust social media and newsletter following, members benefit from increased awareness and connections. Networking and educational events also provide members with additional business support. Members have received the benefits of Utah's Own in many ways.
So my name is Jake Johnston. I am with Holly's Fantastic Products. So we've been in business for a little over 2 years now, and it was kind of going slow, just not doing a whole lot, but it was okay for what we were doing, but we wanted to really grow the business. And so almost a year ago, we made the decision to join Utah's Own, and it was the best decision we've ever made.
I would encourage any local business that makes food to, be a member and participate, because there's a lot of opportunities available.
This has just been so exciting for us to have been helped by Utah's Own in so many other ways with introductions at different lunch and learns and things that we've been able to do.
As governor of Utah, I'm incredibly proud of the entrepreneurial spirit and agriculture heritage that defines our state. Utah's Own isn't just a label, it's a testament to the dedication of our farmers, artisans and producers. By supporting local, you're not only getting high-quality products, but you're also investing directly in our communities and strengthening our state's economy. I encourage every Utahn to discover and enjoy the incredible agriculture, food, and Utah-sourced products that are truly Utah's own.
Whether you're a consumer looking for the best Utah has to offer, or a potential member of Utah's own, we are here for you. Visit our website to discover amazing local products and learn how to become a member. Watch for the Utah Zone logo when you shop, and don't forget to follow us on social media. Support local, support Utah Zone.
All right. So just kind of an overview there of Utah Zone and what we do. Let me see if I can get back to the screen here. It's always fun, technical. Okay, so let's go. Can you see the slideshow again, Jacqueline?
Yes.
Okay.
We're in a space that
Go ahead, Leanne.
But it's playing the video again.
Yeah, we're not going to watch the next one. You're welcome to do that in your spare time. And also, okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh gosh. Okay, hold on. What is happening? Where is that coming from? Here it is. Got it. Yay!
Okay.
You're gonna hear that song all day long in your head now. Anyway, so that's just kind of a general overview about Utah Zone and just some fun facts. We have about 350 members right now, and like we said, the mission is to create and connect consumers to Utah's ag and food businesses, which is why our mission aligns directly with what you're doing in farmers markets and is a great opportunity for us to support through these sponsorships. So Utah Zone is one of, like it said in the video, 40 states that are like us, and we do partner with organizations throughout the state to help support, including farmers markets. Members have a variety of food and agricultural products. Something like tallow is an ag product, but also a Utah source product, or like another Utah source product example would be like using Utah wool to make socks or something like that. Those people would qualify for membership as well. Sometimes there's a little bit of brand confusion that at least this local program is specific for ag and food, and so we don't accept all businesses. They need to be ag and food businesses or Utah source. So this won't apply to all of your vendors, but hopefully some. There's the online directory. We talked about the social media posts, the use of the logo there. Something else that we've been doing this as of last summer, we started, is giving Utah Zone members at farmers markets these signs. Some of the feedback that we've gotten from farmers is that because there's out-of-state produce being brought into farmers markets or just like being resold at farmers markets, there's competition even within there. But I think consumers are getting more savvy and wanting to support local. So by having these signs, and we provide these for members, they can stand out so that the people that are coming to the markets and that are buying, that are wanting to support local, can do that. So the sponsorships that we have, last year we did 10 $500 marketing sponsorships, and we are increasing that price this year, and also hopefully going to be giving out more than 10 this year. The sponsorships will, let's see, there they are. The sponsorships are going to open up on, the applications will open up on April 1st, and I'll kind of talk about that in just a second. These were the markets that received sponsorships last year. Some of the feedback that I did get from the markets is you get to use that money, as long as it's towards marketing, then you can use it. Then it's, yeah, so it's, what's the word I'm looking for? That's within the criteria of the sponsorship. So last year, some of the markets used the sponsorship for social media. Many used it for like signage, to point people in the right direction, to buy signs. But whatever it could be best utilized for you, as long as you report back what you used it for, so we can continue to justify and offer these sponsorships. That would be amazing if you get those. So, and if you've gotten one last year and haven't reported back, we're still waiting to hear from a few. We'd love to get that feedback from you. And then, so part of the contract that we have with markets is that Utah Zone will provide the sponsorship money. We do provide some shopping tote bags. And then we also do promotion of your market. Last year, each market got their own post and social shout out, which we do have a pretty robust following of almost 24,000 people on Instagram, and I think 15,000 on Facebook. So we have a pretty good reach, and then also we'll collaborate with you and tag you on those posts as well to help you get that reach, to help promote you as well. And then on the flip side, the market provides that they'll use the money for marketing, that they'll promote Utah Zone as a sponsor or partner. We do like to visit the markets, and last year we had booths. Sometimes we'd come visit and we'd sit for the market and talk about Utah Zone, meet vendors and things like that. And that we may do more visit type situations, or maybe we will have a booth. It will just depend on how many markets we need to visit throughout the summer and kind of our time frame. But we do love to come. There will be a visit of some sort if you get a sponsorship. Then the market also ensures that you'll promote through social media, that you'll give us a foot traffic report, and that really has more to do with the credit, like us being able to report back that we have an impact with these sponsorships so that we can continue funding them in future years, and also just giving us an idea of like how many people we potentially are helping with Utah Zone. And then the markets will extend a vendor invitation for those vendors that could benefit from Utah Zone. So those are kind of the contractual agreements. This year, we're going to have at least 10, and we're bumping up the sponsorships. Like I said, I'm hoping the $1,000. I'll know for sure by April 1st, but right now we're looking at a $10,000 or $1,000 sponsorship. And we do have a selection committee with a rubric that weighs out how we end up choosing these sponsorships. So here's some of the criteria. We look at the number of vendors you have, how many of those are ag and food vendors, and then the number of vendors that are Utah Zone members. So it's kind of three-pronged. And just because you're a small market doesn't exclude you, because even though market size is also a criteria, we also try to diversify giving the funds to smaller and larger markets. So we set aside a certain number of markets. I think last year it was like 3 small, 4 mid, and 3 large markets. And then within those parameters, we were able to sort through the rubric. So market size wouldn't exclude you, but we're also looking for the proportion of Utah Zone members. I mean, part of our mission is to support our members. And so if you have more Utah Zone members at your market, then you're more likely to get a sponsorship. And also if you have a high percentage of food and ag vendors, because that aligns with our mission, then you also increase your chances of getting the sponsorship. And in the application, it's a pretty simple application, but we will ask you, how many Utah Zone members were at your market last year, how many vendors you had, how many Utah Zone members you had. So just to keep that in mind as you're like thinking about applying, have those numbers handy, and that will help. And it doesn't necessarily exclude you, but I know there's different community markets and markets throughout the state that aren't as much food and ag focus, and so that's our mission, and so we just want to make sure we're putting the money where that aligns with our mission. And along those lines, I have been to markets throughout the state, and I do think like the name of the market really does make a difference. And I know like you're probably all established markets, but I do think that it's important to just be cognizant of, and some of the feedback we've got from farmers and consumers is that the markets will say they're farmers markets, but then they don't have a lot of produce or any produce, some of the markets. And those kind of, I think this is just my personal hat on, kind of fall into like a community market category. And so I think either adding that produce, and there's different ways I think you can do that. I know there's challenges throughout the state because in central Utah, there's just not as much produce. But I think there's ways, like there was a vendor in Nephi, they don't have a lot of peach trees in Nephi, but would broker kind of peaches from up north and then just upcharge them and then sell those at the market. So there was more produce provided at that market. So I think there's different ways that you can kind of incorporate more ag and food just sidebar, if you're looking at trying to fill those voids. I know in some areas it's hard, but anyway, so those are kind of the general criteria as far as what information we want from you. Location also will factor in. We do try to spread our sponsorships throughout the state, and the majority of the farmers markets are up north, and so we just have to be cognizant that we want to make sure that we're also helping the markets in rural locations, urban locations, and so we also, consider that. So if you're in a more highly densely populated place with a lot of farmers markets, your chances for getting the sponsorship may decrease a little bit. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but just to kind of give you an idea of what our mission is and what we're trying to accomplish. So. Oh, I already put size of market. That's fun. I got to put that twice. And then the other criteria is the impact of the market on the community. So we will ask in the application how many, consumers came to your market. And for some, it may only be 100 a week, but you're also in a rural town that only has 1,000. Population of 1,000, and then, but if you look at the proportion, it's like that's 10% of the town that's coming to your market. So we look at that too. And then the last thing is if you've received a sponsorship in the past, we'll take that into consideration. We are trying to rotate and get the sponsorship dollars out to as many markets as possible. So last year we gave out 10 sponsorships, and we had 18 markets apply, which that number was pretty low, so the odds were pretty good. And of those 18, we probably had 3 or 4 that just didn't have ag and food products, and so they really were more festival or kind of art or markets that didn't necessarily qualify for the sponsorship. But anyway, so those are kind of the criteria there. And I just wanted to also point out, and I meant to talk about this during the explanation about Utah Zone, some of the business growth opportunities, and this is where I feel like we could help a lot of vendors at farmers markets, is we get 12 booths for the Associated Foods Trade Show every year, and we pull those out of Utah Zone members. A lot of them did start at farmers market, and these are businesses that have the capacity to be able to grow and get into stores like Carmen's. We just finished the show last week, and half of the vendors had never been there. It's a $2,500 booth value that they get, and then they learn how to get the UPC labeled. It's kind of that next step, and we do have members and kind of a good networking mentoring system too for members. If you're ready to start in that space, we provide some a little bit of guidance, assistant connections there. But that could be really that's, you saw in the video, we've had members who just were able to launch their businesses this way, and most of them did start at a farmer's market. So we also partner with Mill Creek. We do retail market with Mill Creek Common, and basically that's just a central checkout. So our members, we had 40 or so members that just dropped their products off, and for about 6 weeks, just kept them restocked, and then ended up they didn't have to be at the market. Mill Creek was awesome. I think they're here today. They do a great job. They learn about the products. They're talking about the products, and then we ended up having over $92,000 in revenue specifically for Utah Zone members. So that was really great. This year we have a pop-up market, which I know my time is over, so I'm just going to shout out to farmers markets because I am the manager over this pop-up market, and it's not for the faint of heart. So when I took this job, I didn't realize I was going to also be a market manager, but here we are. So we're having our second spring market in Pleasant Grove, and this might be something that you can incorporate into your markets too. We're going to have a Highland calf, which that went crazy at the Mill Creek market. Anytime you bring, I think, livestock into an urban setting, especially a Highland calf. So they're going to have a Highland calf, so I anticipate that would bring people in. The other thing is we have a new Utah Zone member who does butterfly releases. And so we are getting 50 envelopes with butterflies. And I guess this is new, but the first 50 people that come to the market are going to get butterflies, and we're going to release them all at noon. And evidently they like it cold, and maybe you all know this, but then you open it up, but then they're all going to be released, which will be really cool. So I don't know, maybe that might be something you'd be interested in doing. I can definitely let you know how that goes if it brings out more people. But anyway, so we're just trying to get more people, as you all are trying to do too, through the door. And then we do have a Utah Zone gift guide now on our website, and we do get anywhere from 17,000 to 100,000 impressions a month, so that also helps our members. And I'm over, so oh look, I'm done. All right. So if you have any questions, let me know. Again, Emily Ashby. And if you're interested, if you yourself are interested in applying for a membership, or if you want to spread that message to your vendors who might be interested, you can just apply at utahsown.org. We'd love to have you if you have questions. We'd love supporting you. We're excited to open up those sponsorships again this year. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Emily. We have a few questions in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. What are the membership dues annually?
Oh, great question. So they're $100. So it's like less than $10 a month, really.
Okay.
So yeah, it's $100 up fee. Sorry,
Maybe
go
you
ahead.
covered this, but I know we were talking about this before. Can markets themselves become members or just vendors?
Yeah, or market managers that are also producers can become members. We are still trying to get that finalized. We've been just, if you haven't been in the conversation, we've really been trying to get farmers markets to be able to be partners. And there probably will be some, like you have to have half ag and food is my guess, just to kind of throw out some, or half Utah's own member. Like there's going to be some criteria there that would make you a partner, but then we'd have a separate page with the member partners and kind of promote that way too. But still in the works. Great question.
Also, are city-owned and operated markets eligible for the sponsor?
They are, yes, they are. And we do take that, like we will ask that question and kind of take that, and I should have mentioned that in the rubric as well. If it's a for-profit, if it's a government, and we take, we look at that too, and just kind of note that we don't want to get all privatized or all, just to kind of diversify it that way. But it doesn't necessarily weigh if you get the sponsorship or not. It's more just for our like diversification purposes. Oh no, did you not see the slides?
I think she figured it out.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, we could see them. We could see them. I think something.
Yay. Okay, good.
And then I'm not sure if I understand this question, Salam. Maybe you can speak up. What if it's your first year? Are you talking about sponsorships?
Or maybe first year of your market? Then you could just enter, like as far as like getting, you don't know how many vendors, like if you're looking at those stats, just give us kind of a rough estimate.
Okay.
We're not like, it's not like a super like precise. It's not a UDAF grant, for instance, like the specialty crop grant or things like this. This is just more of a smaller Utah zone. We don't have to go through all the hoops of a big grant, and you also get the money through a check. So once you do have to give us like your W-9, like there are a few steps: signing a contract, getting a W-9, and then once we get that information, we'll just cut you a check, and then you get to spend that as you want, and then report back at the end of the season. Let us know what you spend it on and the impact it made.
Wonderful. And somebody wants to know, who is the new butterfly vendor?
Yeah, it's called River Bottom Butterflies. They're out of Draper.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that they had become a Utah Zone member. We're using them this year, so that's exciting to know. Thank you.
Rachel.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, we'll let you know how it goes. We're really excited. I think, and I don't know what, I mean, I think it was, I don't know how much they're charging you, but it was like, I think we're getting 50 envelopes. And they are, I want to say maybe $10 an envelope.
Wow.
Is what it kind of worked out. Is that a lot?
That's incredible.
I don't know. It was like $500 for all of them, but they do weddings, they do all sorts of stuff. But we thought that would be fun to incorporate the new Utah Zone member. And then who knows what this, I don't know. This will be fun. Follow Utah Zone on social media.
Awesome.
I think they're pretty fresh. Like even when I asked him for some footage, he didn't really have a lot. He's like, hey, send me what you get. So, but fun. I know. What a cool diversification of ag. Who knew?
Yeah.
That's really so fun to have them.
So
yeah,
anyway, thank you all.
I went to an event here in Southern Utah a few years ago. I don't know if it was the same vendor that did it, but I read about it and I was like, how are they going to do this? And it was very cool. They came in these little envelopes and they're kind of like dormant. Like when they come, they're like asleep.
They said keep them cool.
Yeah. And then you open it
up
and they take a minute to kind of like warm up and then they fly off, and it's really beautiful.
I know I'm a little bit nervous because you pick them up on Friday. Like, I don't want to mess them up. I got to get the rules. Like, I got to get them in I don't know, and you're welcome, of course, to come to the market and meet. Shalise Smith it's at Oliver's Place in Pleasant Grove. They have a farmer's market there, and she's really great about getting local products. And so if you want another contact for your vendors to be able to get into a local retail outlet, Shalise is awesome. And then you could also ask her questions. I think they're going to start renting out that cow. So I don't know if that'd be interesting for your market. And then we'll figure out this butterfly thing. So come get it. Come early. Be one of the 51st ones to come at 11. Get an envelope. Love to meet you. Come say hi. For sure, find me. And I'll be out and about in the state, and I'll probably try to find you too. We love just supporting you. And some of the coolest people in the state are you. So I'm just going to say it.
I
Thank
agree.
you. Sorry to go over.
Thanks, Emily.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right, so next we have Small Business 101 with Bryce Hanson from the Small Business Development Center at Salt Lake Community College. Thanks
Never
for being
mind. I
here.
don't feel bad now if it's Bryce. Just kidding. Bryce knows me too well. He knew I was going to go over. Bryce.
You know, it's all good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome, Emily. Nice presentation and really cool stuff you're doing. That's amazing. But you can go over. I actually cut my time down, and I don't think I need my full time, so I think it's working out great.
Oh,
So just
wonderful.
move this out of the
Come
way.
get a butterfly pack. You got to come.
I know that would be cool.
All right.
I will look at that's in a few weeks, then, right?
Yep, May 9th, day before
May
Mother's
9th.
Day.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that is cool. Well, I'll try to be one of the first 50. Well, okay, so this is running your business 101. So this is just kind of I usually present about an hour and a half starting your business 101. We cover various things, and I just pulled out a handful of them that we could cover in about 10 minutes that I think is important. Now, farmers markets are can be small businesses. I know some of them are nonprofits or tied to cities, but the operations can be very well considered a small business, and some are truly a small business. People who are trying to grow them and grow into others. I chatted recently with someone who was grown into a few more than just one farmers market. So really interesting. So the SBDC, we've been around for about 45 years, and we were created by the Small Business Administration back in the early 1980s. And there are centers, or I should say there's networks of centers throughout the United States. So every state in the union has at least one network, and we're part of the Utah network. And I'm part of the Salt Lake Regional Center is part of the Utah network. And our impact, is quite wide for who we are. We're a pretty small group overall, but we've served almost 4,000 clients as of 2024, the last reported information. And then about 83 million increase in revenues for those companies we've helped, 143 million in funding, jobs created almost up close to 2,000, and new businesses started with our help, or with our workshops and other things, and that's close to 400. So we're just kind of quietly in the background, just working with a lot of folks. And I think doing a decent job, and helping some people quite a bit. And we meet with someone for a couple times, and other people we're meeting with on a regular basis for months. And so we just try to help where we can to help as entrepreneurs, small business owners, navigate different challenges that come to them. All right, so we will offer workshops and mentor people one-on-one. And, personally, I help probably nearly about 100 entrepreneurs in person every year, maybe more. Then we have our workshops. And by the way, we just had yesterday, we had an AI workshop, AI kind of helping people create their personal business assistant, AI assistant. And it was a full day workshop walking people through that. It was really interesting. Coming up, we have some other workshops such as the Vibe Code Club. So if you're interested in using AI as a coding partner, and if you don't know how to software program, it's okay. You can learn how to project manage or product manage AI tools to create almost anything you can think of now. If you have a little time and patience on learning how to utilize the tool. So things that advance quite a bit, and that's quite really interesting for people just starting out their businesses, or if you're trying to potentially refine or make things easier for you, let's say as a business owner as you're getting started. There's some great opportunities to continue to look at that. So today I want to talk about first just funding. So sometimes people, as you're starting a business, or if you're already established, you might have to look at, okay, do you need funding, or how much do you need? And so you want to be able to have some type of tool that's going to help you decide, okay, where, do I really need the amount of money that I think I need, or am I really short circuiting my startup by not having enough ready to go, money to help fund your growth or to fund your operation until you make enough money that your revenues catch up and then go over your expenses. And so that's why we like to use the financial projection. Now, pretty simple, right? It's just, you think about it, it's just a spreadsheet. That is, it's a simple tool. It's not expensive. If you have Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets, or let's see, it's Apple, or is it Numbers? I think it's called Numbers, or any kind of spreadsheet. You can just build your own. You don't need to pay somebody. You can just do some basic things. And the first thing that you do, this is just one version of a forecast model. There's a lot of different ones out there, but they generally follow the same pattern where you have on the top, you have income coming in, that minus your expenses kind of in the middle, and you can categorize your expenses, and below you have profit. And then below that, usually you'll have, which is really important, is the cash balance. And so the real purpose, everything, all the work you might put into building out your own financial projection model for your own business. The whole point is to get to this line, which is the cash position, to show as you map it out over 12 months. We have a 12-month forecast right here. That over 12 months, every month, based on your assumptions that you might have, where you're falling in, as far as the end of the month cash position. If this line down here ever gets below, before you start a company and you have the assumptions like, hey, I think I'm going to make this amount of money, I'm going to have these expenses based on whatever criteria. Maybe you're like, hey, I really want to have a really nice service, and so I'm going to have more employees because I want to really have that human touch, let's say. Well, as you map it out on this spreadsheet, you might find that model might work, or it might not, because maybe your expenses are too high over time, and you'll see a bunch of zeros or negative numbers, really negative numbers on this lower line. And so if you have that, then okay, that my model that I'm contemplating, or I believe that I'm going to do, you'll see that the model's flawed. And in that flaw, you'll have to look and say, well, why, I'm negative, I'm going to have some negative numbers down here on the bottom in the cash position. So how can I decrease my expenses or increase my revenue? That's the only two things you can do over time to make this be a positive number. Because if you go below zero, if you truly hit that point in your cash account, then you're insolvent and you're out of business. And so that's why the whole purpose of this whole this little operation we do here, this exercise, is to get to that number. I've seen this is really helpful. I've numerous times over the past number of years helping entrepreneurs as we work through this. I just remember one in particular. There's this a person who came and we worked through. It was a little more complex. Multiple years, over about 3 years. We looked at it, and it was this person it was in industries, in the medical industry, where she had kind of a daycare but medical for a certain population in the state, and the actual state was the main payer. I mean, it was only one customer, which was the state of Utah, to pay this person. And as we built the model out, my client was saying, hey, I have one of my kids who's in this program, and the customer service is terrible. It's just terrible. All the providers who do this, it's terrible. I'm going to do it better. I have a bunch of savings I'm going to put into it. It was probably $50,000 or $100,000 of her own savings to help start this. And so as we worked through it, and I was like, hey, well, before you start this, let's go through this and make sure it's going to be profitable with your model. And so we worked through it over a period of months, going back and forth with her to say, hey, go do this research to make sure we get this piece of information. So as we put it on there and let it flow across the whole grid, you can say, or the financial projection, we got to the end, and lo and behold, the top line of her revenue with her model was going to be, let's say, like right here, and her expenses were always up here. That was the highest the revenues ever got with the model, with the labor that she had put in there. And the labor she'd put in there was based on the fact that she wanted a better experience for people like herself and others who went through this, who were going through this, having people in this kind of program in the state paying a certain amount per patient or per patient, I guess, or patron. And it didn't work, right? There was just a structural problem with trying to offer a better service because the state would only pay so much. And we came up to that on paper before she invested. So she had to back off and redo it and say, okay, if I pull back some of the labor, the staff to patient ratio, then it would be more profitable. And we looked at some different scenarios. And it turns out, which is interesting, this is a really interesting insight. It turns out that within that program, because of what we did, we could tell, okay, there's a reason why all of the other competitors in the space that they operated the way they did was because they had to be profitable enough to make it worth it. And so, it was kind of a downer in that, right? Because it is what it is. Economically, it wouldn't work otherwise. So this person rejiggered her way of looking at it and put it back in there and went forward. And it was closer, her model, to what the other competitors were doing, maybe a little bit better. And so she was giving up some of that margin, but still, at least she went into it with really smartly. And to this day, I recently chatted with this person, and they're in business still, so that's good. So this tool is powerful in those ways, and so I recommend that anybody starting a business or already in business to do an exercise like this. And it doesn't have to look exactly like this as far as this design, but it should have a month-to-month look, at least 12 months. And up to maybe 36 months. Some people do up to 5 years, but when you're doing month to month, doing 5 years is probably overkill. I do at least 12 months, maybe 24 months on a month to month look at that. All right. So where do you find funding? Well, there's different places to find funding. Skin in the game, that's your own money. So sometimes entrepreneurs, they have a hard time when they first start out, or if they're not as profitable as they'd like to be, it's hard to get a bank to be able to lend to you. There's other debt financing methods. There's the 3 Fs, friends, family, and fools. There's crowdfunding, which I'm very familiar with. I've done a couple of crowdfunding campaigns in the past, but those are very specific for certain things. In a farmer's market kind of situation or market manager situation, that's probably not down your alley of what you're going to be looking at. But there's other areas, debt financing. Credit cards are obviously considered debt financing, your personal credit cards, or you can get some kind of a credit card with your business. And maybe the limits aren't high, but it's good enough for you to make payments and then or purchases a little bit easier for you. And if you pay those back on a regular basis or pay down the minimum payment, you can actually also start building up your business credit, which is a little bit different than your personal credit, how that works when you get credit scores. But just know that a business credit, your score can go up as long as your credit card, if you have a credit card tied to the business that's in the name of the business and tied to with the EIN of the business and not to your social security number, it can build that your credit line over time. As long as your credit, as long as you are paying on time. That's the big key, is paying on time, the minimum payment. But if you're late, that's going to ding you, and it's probably better if you're not good with credit cards personally, then don't get one for your business. All right, so some other areas too. So bank loans, obviously, revolving loan funds from the counties or cities. There are some of those out there that can be quite good and a little bit easier to deal with than a bank or credit union loan. So that's something to look at. And Salt Lake City and sometimes they're quite low on the interest rates, particularly for certain favored types of businesses for certain cities or municipalities. And you have to look at your city or your municipality for that. But again, Salt Lake City usually has something. Some of the other counties and cities throughout the state. All right. So I know I'm at about 14 minutes. I'm just going to briefly talk about marketing. So marketing is really anything that you do to get people to look at your product or service. And so these are some ideas we've listed there, but really it's just anything. And so you can be quite creative on doing that. Now, Emily mentioned earlier in her presentation about the farmers market that she's organizing and doing some interesting things, some kind of things to kind of catch people's attention a little bit more, that's a little bit different than maybe people have seen before, and to bring people to get interest and look at it and then to show up, which is really interesting. So those two really creative things that are quite fun, right? And I think maybe you'll see some uptick in eyeballs, but just then kind of some word of mouth and then people showing up. So anything to get attention can be really good. And so anyway, I'll leave it at that, and I'll see if anybody has any questions. I just put on here the last slide. I'm not Christine Rice. I'm Bryce Hanson. Christine.Rice, SSLCC.edu. She's our administrative assistant. And if you'd like to meet with an advisor, myself or any of the others that are there, she's the best to reach out to get scheduled. And that's our office number, 801-957-5441. And just reach out to Christine there.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting my video back on. Yeah, that was great. So I will share this your slides as well as the video recording of this presentation. But is there somewhere they can get that tool that you shared?
Yeah. So what I can do is I just have an example that was in there. I can send a similar one like that. I can
Okay.
send over. So I can send it to you. I'll just email that to you, and then you can
Okay.
send that out. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great because I think that's so helpful. I know a lot of people start small businesses, start as vendors because they love what they do and they don't necessarily know a lot about the business end of it, like how to plug in all those numbers, how do I track my revenue and my expenses, and what is the right balance of revenue to expenses. So I think that tool will be really helpful for a lot of vendors and market managers alike.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send that to you in a little bit, and you can forward it on. So awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate
Of
it.
course. Thanks for being here. And Shirley asked, is this a free service if they reach out to the Small Business Development Center?
Great question. Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. We don't charge for a one-on-one advising, and that's what we're known for when people have got to know some of these resources that are out there. There's a lot of resources in Utah for entrepreneurship, small businesses, and we're one of those. And that's the interesting thing is that because of the SBA tie-in and their grant through the Utah State and then down through the different schools for the regional centers, we're able to offer one-on-one advising without charging for it. We do have some workshops like Starting Your Business 101 that I offer on a regular basis. We offer that one for no charge. And most of the others will charge a nominal fee for other workshops or training workshops that we have. For example, we have Cash Flow is King, which is focused on what you just talked about, but a little bit more involved. It's a 9-hour course over 3 days. And that's, we do charge for that. And I think we charge $99 for that. So per hour, that comes to be just over $10 an hour, which is pretty good for training. And then we have others too. One, like I mentioned, we have the Vibe Code Club that we just started. We're getting a lot of demand for that. We don't charge for that. That's just it's kind of a monthly thing that's kind of grassroots, people presenting on the stuff they're working on with AI tools and kind of networking and collaboration. So that one's we don't charge for as well.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Bryce. And yeah, surely we will share that spreadsheet out, or I'll have Bryce send it to me and I'll share it out to everybody. I think that's a great resource. Thanks for being here, Bryce. All right, so next we have Seth Resnick from Delivery Biz Pro. He's going to tell us about an online farmers marketplace that they've developed and how markets can utilize this and vendors as well. Thanks for being here, Seth.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thanks. And that was actually, Bryce, a great handoff because our software is developed to help turn your market customers into weekly customers. And some of the things that Bryce was talking about, cash flow, marketing, which you can do through our system, reporting, forecasting, and really anticipate how your business needs to run in a seasonal environment is what we do on a daily basis. And I'm going to turn this over to our VP in charge of product. Her name's Shauna Johnson, and she's going to walk you through our system, and I'll help with some questions afterwards.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I will start by sharing my screen here. All right, so what we're looking at is one of our example customers who operates as a food hub and is offering recurring weekly pickups of produce that is locally grown and sourced in his area in Canada. So when you have a Delivery Biz Pro setup, you have a front end and a back end. And we're going to focus on the front end primarily, where your customers would interact, how the World Wide Web would discover your shop, and what that experience looks like for shoppers. Immediately landing on a homepage. This is all customizable. We work with the markets to help them design what the messaging is, what the call to actions and user journey should be, though we do have stock behaviors that we can guide you on. You'll see that there's a couple of main pages that are pretty common across all of our sites. The shop, some extra pages that help with SEO, things like that nature. We offer gift certificates so that people can be purchasing gift options online. And you see a login and a join button. So right away, when we go into the shop, we can see the products that are available, and they're usually under some sort of categorical structure. Here's another example site. And you can go as detailed as you like or as simple as you like. All of the products are listed here, and each product is tied back to the producer or the farm from which it comes. So you have this aggregate shopping experience that has all of the products in a traditional e-commerce environment. But then you can also shop by producer, by farmer. So we could go to one of these farmers and customize their own little landing page and show what products are theirs. Delivery Biz Pro specializes in recurring commerce, what's called subscription commerce. So when you have this sort of week-to-week market in person and you're looking to create guaranteed revenue and be able to better forecast what your procurement, your revenue, and your fulfillment should look like at each market, you can have this shopping experience in advance to pick up. We offer many frequencies to support your commercial model, but every week, every other week, these are really hot items because that's where that subscription comes in. And when a customer chooses a weekly, or I should say a recurring frequency of a product, it will go into their cart and it will stay recurring until they remove that. So there's no need to check out each week. The behavior is very similar to what you'd see with HelloFresh or Thrive Market, where people are committing to product frequencies and then that's being fulfilled. And rather going to their door, it's going to your market for pickup where they show up each Saturday or Sunday. When we talk about the user journey, right now on both of these sites, I'm browsing as anonymous, and you will see that I want this every week, and it will eventually start to walk you through a registration because all of these people will have a record, a membership with your company. So what's the closest pickup location to me? So maybe I type in some option and it tells me, oh, we don't have one, but I type in a different address and it will begin that flow where it adds it to the cart. And then I can begin to simulate a checkout experience so that commerce, online commerce behavior is familiar to them. What else can I share here? We talked about go ahead.
Yeah, can we show on the back end how the supplier tracking and independence of suppliers while the market manager is still running everything can work?
Sure. So when we go into the back end of the system, this is where The people working at the company will behave. We have several different types of user types. Customers are the people who are experiencing the front end and shopping from you. Administrators are what would be a market manager, somebody who's in charge of the overall operations of the business, of the website. Your drivers would not be relevant here because you guys are packing out and meeting people at the market for pickup. But your suppliers would be all of you. So if you're a producer, if you're a farmer, a seller, you're going to be listed as a supplier in this system. And you can create supplier the market manager at admins can create supplier accounts. And all of your products and category structure will be attached to this. And your access to the system is also here. So you'd be able to log in and manage your products, manage your inventory, all those behaviors. Okay, so this is kind of an example of the back-end experience of that. When you log in as a supplier, your menu becomes significantly reduced because your impact isn't as large as maybe an admin's would be in the software. So it'll be pretty straightforward. I don't have an example supplier to log into because these are live sites with their own live suppliers. But you would see everything from product management to which is adding or removing products, manipulating categorical structure, inventory levels, pricing, cost associated to products. You would see things related to purchase orders. So if the market wanted to do sort of a food hub aggregate and do a purchase order from suppliers like yourselves, that would be managed here. In this case, it doesn't sound like that's the model that you'll be using, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. We have a lot of reports, main categories being sales, financials, product, customer, and then miscellaneous. And when you drill in, there's quite a bit here. Everything from what's your average order value to who is missing orders this week? What customers did not purchase again? What are the overall sales by a particular pickup location? Or perhaps you guys are running multiple markets. So maybe on Saturdays you're at the mall, but on Sundays you're downtown. You could see the overall sales for the Saturday versus Sunday markets if you wanted to expand. For financial reporting, you can see things like your effective margin, maybe customers that did not pay. Our system supports receiving payment prior to pickup so that you're not having to manage all of the cards, all of the payment, the long line of people who want to pay to pick up. That can all be done in advance to market day so that those customers can come pick up the box that's already been paid for, and then they can add on by shopping live with everybody at the market.
On that note,
taxes.
we also accept SNAP. So
Mhm.
we were referencing earlier that I think you guys took in about $3 million in SNAP money last year. We do allow SNAP and split checkout. So if someone puts together an order and only some of the things are covered by their SNAP, they can still buy from the other suppliers and have it aggregated in one box.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So we were really fortunate to be the first in the country to bring a split checkout for recurring shopping to the internet. And the USDA has been working with us to create kind of a bifurcation in the user journey where when people are shopping and adding things to their cart, it will total it up live. So anything that's SNAP eligible will be listed and anything that's not will be listed. And there'll be two subtotals due going to two separate payment methods that are retained with the customer. So this is a great opportunity for anybody who wants to expand their market share by collecting SNAP dollars. A little bit of other reporting is product reporting. When it comes to fulfillment and being ready for that fulfillment day, there's a lot of moving pieces, and Delivery Biz Pro intricately understands supply chain. So our reports are there to help you as well as the overall systems functionality. If you're looking to understand various segmentations of your products, where they're stored, warehousing, how you bag them up, positional packing for quality assurance and food handling safety, we have all of that available here.
Will you
You can look at
show them the autoresponders and the bag list loadout so that the individual suppliers will know what they need to take in addition to what they will sell on premise?
Definitely. So under customer outreach, we have our autoresponders. This is an operational function as well as a marketing function of this system. You have the ability to enable up to like 30 different variants that are pre-programmed in the system, either SMS or email. And these notes, these messages go out to customers based on either an action or an inaction taken by the customer. So send X days before cutoff. You have a market every Saturday. Everybody has to have their order in by Thursday PM, 5 p.m. This is an email or a text in this case that's designed to re-engage those people with that cutoff in mind. So it can send one day before the cutoff. So on Wednesday at noon, perhaps you have this programmed to text everybody in your customer list that, hey, your cutoff is approaching. Please finalize your order, customize whatever you'd like to pick up at the market on Saturday so that they can have that ready for you. Whenever somebody registers for the first time, they could get a welcome email. Maybe this is a check-in on how the experience was. Send X days after the delivery, after the pickup. Anywhere you see delivery can be interchanged logically with pickup. So all of these autoresponders will go out and you can customize and program them however you like, as well as the subject line, the content of it, and the rules for sending. So it's a pretty robust system for drip campaigns, and it is a key reason for how the subscription model works. Our goal is to get you to stop managing calls, texts, the volume in person, and to be able to have automation working for you online while you're sleeping, while you're farming, while you're doing other administrative work. So all of these orders are coming in, all of these customer experiences are self-guided, and the registration feels very similar to modern e-commerce, but they're getting that localized food supply recurring every week at your markets and still showing up for foot traffic. That was the autoresponders. What was the other thing? Bag labels.
The last thing on your part will be the bag lists and loadouts, so that a supplier, so if multiple items from multiple suppliers are in there, the supplier will know what they need to bring.
Okay. So whenever you're planning your route cut, your order cutoff, you have a lot of different tasks that can be taken by the market manager or by the suppliers. And one of those is preparing your loadout. We have this area called bag labels. Box labels, bag labels, it's interchangeable. But what will happen is a route is chosen, which is the Saturday market, for example. You would choose it and you would be able to see this week's orders, show customers with this order, and then you'd be able to print by segmentation. And we can enhance segmentations too, so that whatever model works for your aggregate of farmers is what's going to work best. And it will show, let's just do all of the grocery labels. In this case, there was no stops. Let me see here. Give me a second. This will take a minute to load because there will be quite a bit of orders associated to this pickup day. But what will happen is you'll be able to see a list of every person and what the total contents is for each person's order, or perhaps a quantity of everything that should be packed if it's all together. So when you see this loadout on the screen, it can be printed into a label format. We offer like 15 different varieties, whatever is convenient to your company. And it will produce stickers or paper cutout that can be affixed to the box or the bag so that people can pack from their warehouse or pack from wherever their storage is. And I recommend that in the case where multiple suppliers are providing to one order, you guys would print out your individual pieces, and then when you meet at the market, you can combine them together with your slips. So there's a lot of ways in which we can work to understand your specific use case when your farmer's market comes online. And our tooling is quite variable. It can help in a lot of different use cases.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we are able to do demos and walk through this individually, but I do want to touch on a few things before our time expires. And that is the market managers and the suppliers will have their own tracking and independence and things they can do. And so your market manager is not going to be overwhelmed by this system. It is designed to free them up to do other things. We also do B2B very well. So you will see restaurants that want to order locally. They have their own membership levels. If your vendors want to give them specific pricing, but the restaurants will be able to also order in a traditional restaurant ordering way that we can toggle on, where it's like a par sheet, or through the website as is, but they'll be able to order the produce for the week from you guys. So the farm to table is a little bit more inclusive because they want to shop from you. And with a 5-mile radius, you have the restaurateurs shopping for their house anyway with you. Also, Jacqueline had mentioned earlier that 18 to 29 is really the huge demographic that you guys are seeing, which works great with new technology. With your shopping URL, we'll have that converted to a QR code. That's great for marketing and Instacart and social media and flyers at a rodeo or whatever to increase registration. But it will also be able to be on stickers at maybe some of the restaurants and other people that buy from you or want to support you, so that people can just go and sign up to buy from the farmers market wherever people are already buying from the farmers market. And they can do it in a very tech savvy way, which the 18 to 29-year-olds like. We also SNAP, we accept. And we have seen on average, and this is very important, a 40% ROI in our shopping carts. On average, most people have a $35 average ticket before our system. And customers are adding 1 to 2 products because of our system. And we're seeing the average ticket going to $50 or $55. So that is 30-40% sales growth without doing anything. And I want to also mention that our system is excellent for forecasting, but also marketing. Individual vendors and suppliers can do coupons, or you can do global ones for everybody, but you can market by supplier. You can market by SKU. You can market by pickup day. So if there's products that people have that's going to expire and they want to get rid of it on Sunday, they can push for that day. But what I really like and what's really used is individual products. Your vendor has blueberries and he wants to get rid of extra. He can email everyone that bought blueberries a recipe for blueberry pie and say, have you tried this one yet? Or send me your best blueberry pie recipe with a link to his blueberries. So he's soft selling and asking for a sale. We see that a lot with flavored milks when they're trying to sell, a banana cake with banana milks. So our system is not just for someone to place an order and pick it up. We do so much more on helping the farmers markets and vendors and farmers themselves grow. We're not trying to take anything away from what you guys do. You guys will set the limits and the rules, but we just want to make life easier for you while increasing both age adoption and average sales. So, if you have any questions, just let us know. We've been in the farm space. We've been helping farms and farmers for over 15 years. And we really excel in this space. We really know what you guys need and want to help you get there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Seth. And is it Shauna or Shanna?
It's Shauna.
It's Shauna.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
And I wanted to show on the screen real quick, just so everybody saw, when people are shopping and they're putting in the address that's closest to them, their home, their work, wherever they are frequently. You saw on the screen that it popped up a list of pickups or markets that they can have their order ready for them. And they can choose by distance. I live very lucky right down the street, 1 mile from a farmer's market, but not everybody has that opportunity. So it can go up to 20 miles if people are willing to come into the city or go to more suburban neighborhoods to visit a market.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we know from the research we've conducted that people tend to travel 0 to 5 miles to their markets, but this kind of opens their range as well. If they
Yeah, yep,
know
and
that,
it defaults to 5 miles because
okay,
we're familiar with that sort of localized neighborhood effect.
yes,
But for folks who might be more rural or want to maybe travel for vacation,
yeah.
I like to go to farmers markets on vacation. So
Me too. Me too. And then especially if they know that they're looking for something specific and they've already chosen it on, on the website, they know that they're going there and what they're looking for is going to be there. It's not as much of
yeah, it's just
a
waiting for
chance.
them. The money is
Yeah.
already spent and the product's forecasted.
Yeah.
And restaurants are willing to travel more than 5 miles for that local produce.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
they're going to see maybe more restaurant and B2B sales, which will help everybody.
That's great. And I know I sent out an email to the listserv. We are looking for some markets to kind of try this out in Utah. This is a new opportunity here in Utah. So
There's no upfront fees. There's no contract. If it doesn't work, it's fine, but it will work. But there's no upfront anything. We just want to make you guys succeed.
yeah, so feel free to reach out to me or Seth. I will pass along all this information and the slides and all of that. So if you're interested, please let us know.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any questions in the chat that were not already answered. Bryce did ask if there's a barter option, which there is not. So we're going to move on. We're a little bit late, but we're doing great on time, really, considering I started out the first thing going over my time. So we're still doing really great on time. So now we have Chris Quinlan here from MarketWorks. He's going to talk about managing your market and about an exciting new app that they just created. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, thank you very much. Hopefully I've disconnected my extra screen because it was not showing the videos that I wanted to show before, but now it is. Thanks for the opportunity. It's good to see you again, and good to see some of you virtually that we saw last year, the year before. I really wanted to spend a bit of time this morning for us morning and talk about our vendor app and then another feature that we've brought into our program, which is going to address a few concerns that markets have been experiencing with not only catching up with receivables by vendors. So, it's one thing to be able to invoice a vendor, but it's another thing to actually get a payment from them. And then as a result of that, we've also been able to address a concern that's come up with security and some scams that have been going out. And this has been happening across North America. We've had markets we work with from Edmonton up in Canada all the way down to Florida, and there's scammers out there that are going in and they're scraping the market's website, they're getting the vendors' names, they're finding out their email information, they're invoicing them an invitation to another market under the guise of being that one. And then they're sending an invoice, and these vendors are sending them money. So this new feature we have is sort of one way, bringing everything into one spot where you know that your vendors will can understand that they will never be sent a random email offering to allow them to come in and join a market that's not even your market. So in order to do that, I'd just like to share my screen and just go over the process. We don't really have time to do like the full run through of all of our features, but what I wanted to do was really look at the process from the point of view of onboarding a vendor, approving them, getting them into your market, and then invoicing them, and then showing them this new feature we have, which is an auto pay, which will automatically charge their credit cards when they get an invoice. And then also the vendor app, which has been incredibly well received. And this has given the power of the vendors, given them the power to be able to go into an app which they download onto their phone, or they can use a web version of the app if they want it for their laptop, and actually manage their profile, pay their bills and everything directly from there. So what we'll do right now, we're just going to go through the process of onboarding a vendor. We're going to do it from the point of a vendor being able to renew their application. So with our market management program, you have the ability to archive a season, which means you could take, say, 2025 and pop that into a box. And then your vendors, instead of having to go in and complete another application, they can actually bring across all their information from the previous season and then just update any questions, select dates, update any documents that they have to do, and then go on from there. So we'll do that. This is just an example of what that looks like. I'm going to put in my email address that we want to be able to get a code for here. We're going to send that vendor a code. That vendor is going to be able to go in, grab that code. They simply copy that code, paste it in, and when they do that, it's going to bring all their information forward from that previous season. So once your vendors are signed up, they are incentivized by the fact that they don't have to go and type all that information out again. It's all going to be in there. They can select whichever markets, specifically markets and dates, or just some of them if they want to or not. Select their categories. Of course, with our form, we allow you to have any number of fields that you want to get the information that you need to decide whether you want your vendor to be part of your market, and then also manage everything from placing them in maps, displaying their public profiles, and invoicing them. So we have different options here. Do you want power? Yes, but only on these days, and it'll only charge them for those dates. And then there's standard terms and conditions, which we force them to change from no to yes, submit that application. One of the things that we allow you to do with our application process is, if you are working with our payment processor for credit cards, and again, this is an account you have with them, we don't touch your money with them, that you can prompt them to pay an application fee up front. Now, it doesn't force them to pay it, but it does prompt them to pay it. So in this case, they could put in that information, and that would automatically charge their card that application fee for it. Now, you'll notice down here we have this save this payment method for auto pay. This is one of the points where the vendor is given the opportunity to enroll in what we call auto pay. And what this will do is this will store their credit card information in a secure place, like with the credit card processor. And when you send them an invoice, it will automatically charge that card, so you don't have to go chasing them, and they don't have to go and fill out information anymore. I'm going to leave that off for this moment because I want to show you what that looks like when we actually get to a vendor's profile. So we'll pop back over here into our vendors tab, and we can see, if we give it a little refresh, that that vendor shows up here. They come in as pending review. What we're going to do is select that vendor, and you can see their dates here are requested, and we can review everything that they want, take a look at what their booth image is, what does that look like, just to find out if they've got everything that you need for them. You then go to edit the application form. This application, first thing you would be doing would be looking at your dates. And you have an option to either add or approve all of the dates, or you could approve just some and waitlist others. You may have too many bakers for this date here, so you're just going to put these guys on a wait list. There's a reason for doing that. We actually allow you to bring them into placing them on the map directly from placement, and it'll change this to approve, so you can invoice them at that point. You can go through their entire application. If they had something in their products you didn't want them to sell, you can edit all of that. And of course, you have a place where you can put in internal notes. And these internal notes are always only visible to you as the market manager. They can never be made public, and the vendor will never see them. So you can put in, hey, listen, this guy's a real pain in the butt. Make sure they're down at the back end of the market, or whatever it is that you want to do. Once you've got the application to the point that you're ready for that vendor to be able to see it, you go ahead and you save that application. We're then going to take and we're going to change the status of the vendor themselves. Okay, so we've dealt with the status of the dates, and now we're going to change the status of the vendor themselves. When we do that, we change them to approved. This is going to send that vendor an email. Okay, and this is a very important part of our process. So they get this approval email, and what that does, and we hard code this message above here. Okay, because it's very important that they are directed to the page that allows them to download the app so they can view their application. When they click on that vendor portal, that's going to take them here. They have an opportunity to either download the app here to either their iPhone or their Android device, or they can view it on the web. And if they do that, they're going to be taken into it. And you can see here that we are now into my MarketWorks demo page. The place that they land is another great spot. So again, they're seeing this either on their phone, the image is very similar, or on their laptop. They're going to land on their vendor resource page. This vendor resource page is a place where we allow you as a manager to put any pages that you think you would like them to have access to as resources for them as a vendor. So whether it's a welcome page, market size, rules, regulations, anything like that, those are all going to show up in here. You can add as many of these as you like, put in all the information, add attachments, multiple attachments if you like, and you can go from there. So that's what that's going to look like when they land. Now, the next thing they would do is they would go to their profile. And this is actually the profile of that first vendor that was already signed up. You can see here that they can see their information is here. They've got their dates. They've got all these approved and waitlisted dates. If they wanted to see what they actually were, they can click on this. Allows them to, review their entire application. If they want to, they make changes, and this is where we allow the vendor to manage their business as their business, which they should. They can go in and request a change, and if they were to go into their dates and say, okay, I would like to request to cancel this date, and then that's done, and then they can go ahead, and if they want to add a new product, they could say iguanas just for fun. They can submit those changes. Those change requests have been submitted successfully. We give them that message. We also tell them at this point, if they went back into their app and they tried to edit again, that they have pending change requests. And if they make another change request, it's going to overwrite the current one. So you as a market manager would get a notification that you have a change request, and you can see that here. We let you see we've got this vendor. They've requested changes in 2 fields. One of them is that they want to remove a date. You can approve that. The other one, they want to add iguanas. You can reject that, and you can even put down a little note here. Sorry, no lizards. And you can send that to them. Now, the vendor then gets an email of what the result of that review was so that they know, okay? So if we go back to my email, you can see here your change requests have been reviewed. One of the features that we've added is the ability for you to be able to have those change request emails CC'd to you, okay? So what this does is that you can then have a record in your email of the results of reviews. We have had vendors who have said, no, you said that I could bring iguanas, but and you can come up and say, no, actually, here's the email. We said no to that. So we're providing you with the backup on that with those new changes. So once again, this is giving your vendors the ability to manage their profile. And then if we were to drag this down again or refresh this, those changes would be reflected in here. That date is now gone. They're not attending that date, and they're able to manage their profile that way. Now, the other way that we allow you to interact with your vendors, and this is where that new auto pay feature comes in, is in your invoicing. So I want to go and we're going to send an invoice, and we're just going to send it for one date. When we go to send it to a vendor, we just select the vendor that we want to send it to. If you wanted to send it to everybody, you could do it there. You can also filter it by categories or tags. So if you have different billing cycles, you can take care of that. I'm just going to go next here. This little drop down is going to show exactly what it is that we're invoicing that vendor. We've got a membership fee and then the actual market day charges. You can put adjustments in here if you wanted to. $10. That was for being a turkey. And we can go ahead and we send that invoice out. Now, when that invoice goes to that vendor, it gets sent via an email, okay? And we just have some basic information in here. You can customize the messaging you want, but you'll see we have a link down here that they click on to get to pay that invoice. Now, if If we go ahead here, we can see that I've got that invoice, click to view. And then again, I've got the opportunity here to pay that invoice online. I can put in my credit card number, and I also have the option to save this payment method for autopay. Okay. Now, this is the second time that we've allowed the vendor to opt into autopay. This saves you a ton of time because you don't have to track down receivables from your vendors, especially if you're invoicing on a weekly basis. I know a lot of markets have a policy where it's like, we invoice on Monday. If you don't pay by Thursday, you're out of the market. So you don't have to worry about chasing them down on that. And it also provides the ability for your vendors to be able to just have it already taken care of. They know they're going to get that invoice. They can see that invoice in their profile. And that's where that'll happen. Now, with our payment processor, Nelnet, we also have the ability to accept ACH payments for these, and your vendors can sign up to have their bank account charged for those invoice amounts as well. Now, what does this look like inside of the app? If we were to go in here and just do a little refresh on this vendor, I'm going to actually log in as a different vendor. I think I'm in this one here. Then we can actually see that that billing will show up. And if we go in here and we have that invoice and we wanted to pay it, then that invoice would show up here and we'd have the same option to put that auto pay for that credit card. So your vendors can pay their invoices directly from their phone, from the app. If they're not set up for auto pay, they can do it on a weekly basis, or they can elect to select auto pay and they can view all of their invoices. And the nice thing about this is this provides them with a detailed view of each individual invoice that's been sent out, and it's in their app so that they can actually view this. They don't have to call you and ask you to find this. They don't have to chase down emails. So we're putting that the power for the vendors to manage their business right inside of their app, as that exists that way. Now, we talked about a little bit about this security thing, and this honestly, I didn't expect this to be something that was going to be extremely helpful, but I've heard back from a number of our clients who work with markets that they've had these issues of vendors being scammed by these people that are sending out letters, and this is an example of one of the letters here. You know, hey, we hope it finds you well. Appreciate your interest in this festival. We're reaching out, find out if you want to be available for this. You know, let us know. This is a fictitious event. It's a scam. The event doesn't exist, but this vendor actually went in and said, "Yeah, I'd like to be part of it," and then they were invoiced for it, and twice they provided their payment information to this person just based on an email being sent from some random person at Gmail, not the actual market, soliciting a new event for their market. Okay. What our program does is, by ensuring that your invoicing takes place within a set environment, you can communicate to your vendors that your invoices are only going to come from a certain email, because we set you up with your own market email for your invoicing. Those invoices are only going to come from there. They can only view their invoices from there, and they can only pay them from there. And when you can communicate that to your vendors will know 100% that if they receive a random email from a scammer or from anybody, hey, listen, we'd like to invite you to this new event, that it's not you. The one market that I spoke with, they had about 40 of their vendors were scammed out of over $100 each for this event that just didn't even exist. So it's a real issue, and it's something that our program, by enabling making sure that we are allowed to invoice vendors directly within our ecosystem, so within the platform, and that your vendors are able to view all of their invoices from within the platform, that there's no possible way that they could think that that random email that was just out there, and it doesn't even come from a prince in Nigeria. It's a scam email. And so they know that. You have the confidence with your invoicing, your vendors have confidence with it, and they can actually go ahead and pay that. It's a bonus if they sign up for the auto pay because that automatically charges either their credit card or their bank account for that invoice amount. But it's just another way to keep these things secure. I did have, a couple of our markets that we work with, and we've got about 300 individual markets that we're working with across North America right now. And they have, they've said, listen, is there a way that they're scraping the data? And that's not possible. They can't go into a market's website and get their data. What happens when we set out uh, whether it's a market map or whether it's vendor profiles, those pages are embedded in your website inside what we call an iframe. Those are not scrapable. So that's something that a scammer would go through and they'll just try and grab information. Unless they were going in and physically typing in the information, then that might be how they're getting it. But there's 100 ways to get information on vendors and businesses. But we're very, very confident that, they're not scraping our website to get it through there. So again, I just wanted to be conscious of the time that I've been allowed and maybe give some time for you if you have any questions about how our program works. I know that we've been introduced to a bunch of you before. We do provide a great resource for you as a market. Those of you in Utah that are working with already, it's fantastic. For those of you that don't know us, we provide you with the ability to manage all the intake, the invoicing, the placement, and the showing the vendor profiles of your vendors, and also with all the support that you need to work within the system. So that's one of our differentiators. Our subscription rate, which is $1,500 per location. We don't care how many vendors you have, just we want you to grow and be big. And that includes all of the training and that initial market map and all of those pieces. So take a chance here if we've got a few minutes left for some questions, if we've got any, and go from there. Jacqueline, back to you if we have questions.
Yeah, I don't see any in the chat. I just wanted to say I've been working with Chris for the last year and a half, and I will say he's always very attentive. Anytime I've asked him a question, he usually gets back to me like the same day, if not, within an hour or so. So I'm always I'm always so grateful that anytime I have a question, he's on it. So that he definitely provides really good support for his customers.
Well, thank you for that. I see one question in the chat, a couple of them in there. I'll get to those, and then I'll actually show you. I wanted to show you what it looks like when we embed a map into your website. So your customers can actually go in. It would list the vendors' names and their stall numbers. They can scroll across the stalls, see the vendor's name and click on that. That would actually take them to that vendor's profile, which is just one of those features that we offer in addition to searching by product. So if you type in potatoes, it's only going to bring up the vendors who are selling potatoes that's in there. So just some of those pieces we do. But I did see there was a question in the chat, so maybe I can answer that one.
I just see a couple people singing your praises.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate
Barry and
that.
Cassidy both said thank you, and we've enjoyed working with MarketWorks. We have our so in the past, the way we've done our member markets was really difficult. We had everybody send in all their info, and we created a page on our website with all of our member markets, and we had to involve USU marketing, and it took a lot of time and energy. And we've switched over to using MarketWorks, where and the other reason we did that is also we wanted to understand what you all go through as market managers using this software. So we use MarketWorks ourselves as the Utah Farmers Market Network. If you go to our website, you can see the statewide market map, and it shows all of the member markets across the state, and it's been a really great resource for us and really made our lives so much easier trying to get that information out to the public of what markets are open across the state.
And it's been fun working with you. And this is kind of one of the things that we like to do is provide those resources for organizations like yourself to help you, you don't get a ton of resources. So it's,
Yeah.
it's fun to work with you and be able to do that. We work with a couple, other states as well. One of the things that I wanted to let you know about is if you do want to find out a bit more of us, we have on our website, marketworks.com, you can just click on a free trial and sign up for that. Again, we get together, do a quick demo, actually show you all the processes that can be managed within our program. So, that's there as a resource for you. Again, we always try and be as much of a resource as we can. We didn't make it to all the conferences we normally would this year. Some of them didn't happen. And some of them were just put up against each other. But that's the other way. We get out there and we listen to our clients. So this vendor app was a result of us not just listening to our clients, but listening to their vendors. Their vendors we'd get on Zoom calls with them and they're like, this is why it's painful for us to do it this way. So we made it better for them, which makes you happier as market managers. So you'll notice that you can actually, if you're a MarketWorks client, you can actually manage your markets profile with us. And we're so confident in the billing program that we actually switched over from using QuickBooks to invoice our clients to actually using our program to invoice our clients. So that's the proof in the pudding. When it's good enough for me, it's really it's got to work for everybody. So yeah, if you do work with us and you do have a client with us, you've probably been approved as a member of MarketWorks family, and you can see here, we brought in the vendor or market resources in this case. Welcome to your profile, book an appointment. You can view your profile, anything that you want to do that for managing your profile with us and getting in touch with me for support. So that's all available there as well.
Wonderful. And we did have a question. What's the best email to reach you at? I put chris@marketworks.com. Is that the best one? Or
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
That gets right to me. And you're going to get me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, with some of these companies, you're chasing down somebody or you're talking to AI, but every time I've reached out, it's always been Chris. So he's really working hands-on with market managers.
Yeah, it's fun that way too. I mean, I joke about this, but my background is restaurants. I live in a ski resort. I live in Whistler. We didn't get great snow either. So, but if I didn't, take care of my tables, I couldn't go skiing. So it's the same philosophy I have with folks that we work with this program. I'm going to make sure that you get the best experience possible, and then you'll just keep coming back.
All right. Any last questions for Chris before we move on to our last presentation?
All right.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right. And I hope it's nice and sunny out wherever you are. And just
it is here in Southern Utah. All right. See you soon.
Take care. Thanks again.
All right. So next we have Whitney Butler from MarketLink, and she's going to tell us about the MarketLink program. Thanks so much, Whitney.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Can you see my screen okay? My presentation? Wonderful. All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging in for my presentation. I will try to keep it short and sweet. As Jacqueline said, my name is Whitney Butler, and I'm a regional specialist for the MarketLink program. And today I'm going to be giving you a quick overview of all of our grant programs. In a nutshell, we help farms and farmers markets be able to accept SNAP benefits. And you may have heard of us before, even in this event last year. I believe my coworker Lisa spoke, but MarketLink has been around since 2013, and it was originally founded under a nonprofit called the NAFMNP, National Associations of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs. But in 2024, we came under a new nonprofit called the Farmers Food Assistance Bureau. And as part of this, we took over the technology company that we used to be partnered with for one of our grant programs, Total Pay Go. So our mission is to help farms and farmers markets succeed by enabling them to accept SNAP and the other nutrition benefit programs. We're primarily funded through two USDA grants. There's the SNAP Equipment Grant, and that's for in-person sales. And for that grant, we provide access to the Total Pay Go mobile app. And then we also have the SNAP Online Grant, and that is for farmers to be able to take SNAP benefits through an online store. For that grant, we're partnered with Grown By and with WorldPay or FIS as the payment processor. Today, I'm going to mostly focus on that SNAP Equipment Grant. So yeah, to get into the details here, these are all the programs that we currently oversee. For that SNAP Equipment Grant, that is available nationwide to both farmers and farmers markets. And then for our SNAP Online Grant, that's also available nationwide, but it is limited. The USDA only allows farmers to participate in that grant. And then over here on the right, this is describing our Total Pay Incentive Management System, TIMS. And essentially what this is us updating that Total Pay Go app to be able to accept electronic farmers market nutrition programs. So the WIC and seniors farmers market nutrition programs, as well as incentive programs. But important here is that for this to work, we have to have a contract with your state. So we don't currently with Utah, we do with Indiana and Tennessee, and this just helps farmers be able to take another, form of payment using our Total Pay Go app. All right, so let's dive deeper into what exactly farmers and markets receive through our SNAP Equipment Grant. Now, these are the basic steps in our process. First of all, you start by going to our website, marketlink.org, and completing our grant's eligibility assessment. And this is just to make sure you meet the basic requirements for our grant, but it also connects you to a regional specialist. There's a handful of us spread throughout the country, and we, individually work with you one-on-one to shepherd you through our grant process. Step 2, if you have not done so already, you need to get authorized by the USDA to accept SNAP. And we provide free technical assistance with the USDA SNAP retailer application. And I'll get into the details of exactly what our free help looks like here in a couple slides. Step 3, if you come to us already authorized to accept SNAP or after we help you get authorized, then your next step is going to be getting set up with a Total Pay Go account. So that's submitting an online form to set up your SNAP merchant account. And then that'll lead you to step 4, which is actually receiving and setting up the equipment. So that's downloading and activating the Total Pay Go app and connecting the card reader with Bluetooth, and then just familiarizing yourself with how to use it. Okay, so in that first step, as far as our eligibility assessment goes, these are the basic criteria that we are looking for. Now, since this grant's funded by the USDA, we are allowed to provide the grant to 2 categories of businesses as defined by the USDA Food and Nutrition Services. So eligible for the grant is direct marketing farmers. They define that as an individual producer of agricultural products that's selling directly to the public. And very important here is that at least 50% of your profits must be for your own products. So what that means is if you mostly buy products from other farmers and resell them, you don't fall in that direct marketing farmer category. You unfortunately wouldn't be eligible for the grant, but we can still give you basic guidance on how to move forward with accepting SNAP. And then also eligible are farmers markets. And this is describing, their definition here describes kind of your typical Main Street farmers market. They have 2 or more farmer producers selling their own agricultural products directly to the public at a fixed location. So most commonly, who applies, under this category that ends up not meeting this definition is mobile markets, unfortunately. But again, we can still give you basic information on how to move forward. And We've learned there's so many gray areas with how people operate their business. So if you're not sure, you can always reach out to us. We'll help you figure out what business type the USDA would consider you, and help you with the next steps, regardless of if you're eligible for the grant. So yeah, who's not eligible if you don't meet one of those definitions? As I mentioned, this grant's been around since 2013 and it gets renewed every couple years. The last time it was renewed was October 2025. So if you've received free equipment from us since October 2025, you're not eligible. But if you received it before that date, you probably are eligible again. So you should definitely fill out another grant application just to double check. All right, so this slide gets into what is actually covered by our SNAP equipment grant. So if we find you eligible, we can give you that free technical assistance with the SNAP retailer application process. And as I mentioned, even if you're not eligible, we have some quick guides we can send you if you're a different business type. If you're eligible, then as far as the SNAP equipment goes, you'll receive a free SNAP card reader and a 1-year subscription to the Total Pay Go app. If you're not eligible, that equipment is available for purchase. And then with our grant, the USDA gives what they call a printed receipt waiver. So generally, all retailers are required to provide a printed receipt for in-person SNAP transactions. But since this is a USDA grant, they give our grantees a printed receipt waiver, meaning our app will give the customer an option for a text or email receipt instead. So you'll save money on not having to print receipts, and that lasts as long as you're using the equipment. And then finally, as far as if you do decide to use Total Pay Go, regardless of if you qualify for the grant, we'll help, set you up with the equipment, train you on how to use it. And we can also provide basic guidance on your other equipment options out there. All right, so this is diving into that step 2 in our process, the USDA SNAP retailer application, if you need to do that. So any business that wants to accept SNAP must do this application. And these steps outline the basic steps in the process. So first of all, it's an online application. You have to set up an account on the USDA's website to actually get to the application. And in general, what you'll do is fill out the application. Then the USDA is going to ask for some required supporting documents to kind of complete your application package. Once they have that, you're waiting to hear back from them. It's very common at this point for them to request additional information. So it's not a submit and forget kind of application, and we'll help make sure it doesn't slip through the cracks. But ultimately, hopefully, you'll get to number 6 here, which is your application being approved, and you'll be issued a SNAP permit. Now, some important pieces in this to keep in mind before you start the whole process is you'll need to determine who's going to be the responsible official listed on the application. Now, this person is taking on responsibility for your SNAP program. Who's listed will depend on how this, your farm or market is legally organized. But in general, it needs to be somebody that has the authority to sign legal documents. It's usually pretty straightforward for a farm. It's going to be the owners of the business. For farmers markets, this might be the if executive director, if it's a nonprofit, or if it's run by the city, they'll ask for somebody within that city organization to sign here. Just keep in mind, this person is going to need to provide some documents for the application. So it depends again on how you're legally organized, but usually it's going to be a photo ID, a social security card, a signature page, a business license if your city, state, or local authorities require you to have one. And if you're a 501c3 nonprofit, they're going to ask for that IRS determination letter. And then finally, another thing that you want to have your information together before you jump in is that application is going to ask you for sales and inventory information. If you're a farm, they will ask for your actual retail sales numbers from one of the last 2 years, so you'll need that value. If you're a farmer's market, they know that most markets do not collect sales information from your vendors, so they expect you to be estimating the total retail sales that your vendors are doing for the year. And we do have a formula to kind of help you estimate that if need be. All right, so now that you have an idea of that whole process, it is fairly lengthy. So that's where if you qualify for the grant, highly encourage you to apply, especially for our help with the application. Once you apply with us, when we email you to confirm you're eligible and provide next steps, these are the two options we're going to give you on how we can help with the application. So first of all, we have step-by-step guides for both farmers and farmers markets. If you prefer to do the application on your own, you can follow our guides and then reach out to us if you get stuck or have questions along the way. Or option two, we really try to encourage everybody to have us submit the application on your behalf. And this is just because we do them so often, we can make sure you meet the basic eligibility criteria, that you're filling out the correct application. So for that option, how it would work is you will book a phone appointment with us. We'll email you a list of information and documents to get together. And then during the call, we'll fill out the application on your behalf. Then after the call, when you get that request for those required documents, we'll send you a Dropbox folder for you to send them to us. We'll make sure that you're meeting their requirements, and then we upload them to the USDA's website. The great thing about us submitting on your behalf is we can track it through the whole process. So we'll see if did the USDA reach out for more information and help make sure that you respond to it quickly and completely. And we can also, reach out to the USDA directly on your behalf if you run into any issues. As opposed to if you fill it out on your own, we don't have the same access to your application. So the takeaway here is that once you get authorized to accept SNAP, you want to maintain that authorization. And the good news is that you don't have to do this every year. So your SNAP permit will be good for about 5 years. And these are some basic tips on just maintaining your status as a SNAP retailer. First of all, save copies of everything. This is especially important for farmers markets. So save that SNAP application, that SNAP permit, and any correspondence you had with the USDA. And then, as I mentioned, about every 5 years, the USDA is going to reach out to you and ask you to reauthorize. And that basically is submitting the application again so that you can update key information. When they send that reauthorization letter and email, there will be a deadline to respond. So you do want to make sure that whatever contact information you provided the USDA stays up to date and is monitored on a regular basis. Also here is noted about the responsible official. This is especially important for farmers markets that might have a lot of turnover, and the person that you listed initially might leave the position. Once upon a time, it was a little bit easier to update this person. If the responsible official left, they could call the USDA, ask them to update it. That process has become more difficult in recent years. So what we now recommend is that you just make sure that that responsible official confirms the contact information on file with the USDA before they leave their position. Just keep it organizational contact info. That way somebody will catch that reauthorization letter when it comes. And then finally, this note on times to reapply. So your SNAP permit, you don't have to reapply unless you actually change your physical location, or if the owner or organization running a farmer's market, for example, if that changes, they do require you to reapply. If you find yourself in this position, the best time to apply in general is going to be in the fall or winter because the USDA and MarketLink are a lot less busy that time of year. So the process goes a lot smoother. All right. So then once you are approved to accept SNAP, you're going to need some kind of point of sale device that can accept SNAP payments. So this is getting into what the MarketLink grant provides. As far as physical equipment, this little black box here, that's going to be your SNAP card reader. And then you will download the TotalPay Go app on your own personal smartphone or tablet. So that's why it's a bring your own device program. Any device, any carrier will work. It just needs to have Bluetooth capabilities and access to Wi-Fi or a cellular data plan. And then in addition to the TotalPay Go app, there's also the online portal, and that's where you're going to manage your account. You can also view and download your sales data if you have an accounting software that you prefer. And not mentioned here. Oh, it is in the next slide. Good. Okay. So finally, to wrap up the equipment piece, this is what's covered by that first year of the grant, and then what costs to expect afterwards. So that first year of the grant, you have the free Bluetooth card reader, 1 year subscription to TotalPay Go, and the printer waiver. And then after the first year, new to this grant cycle is we'll look at the total amount of sales you did in SNAP. And the USDA added a feature that if you do at least $500 in SNAP, then we can apply another free year to your TotalPay account. And this is very achievable for farmers markets. So we're really excited about this. If you're currently using TotalPay and you're wondering if you qualify, you can always reach out to us and we'll double check your sales numbers. But if by chance you don't hit that $500 mark, then the cost to keep using the app is going to be in a subscription fee. So if you sell year round, there's a slight discount. That's going to be $191.40 for the year. Or if you're just seasonal and you only need it for certain months of the year, you can turn it on for those months and it'll be $19.95 a month. But regardless, that SNAP card reader is yours to keep. If it breaks, then reach out to us. The grant can cover another one. And as I mentioned, that printer waiver request or lasts as long as you're doing the using our equipment. So, as far as how to find us, here is our contact information. I highly recommend start with our website, marketlink.org. There's a ton of great information on there about all of our grant programs. You can reach our team at info@marketlink.org. And here is our phone number as well. As I mentioned, we have a nationwide team. So when you apply, if you're in Utah, you're going to get connected to my lovely coworker, Lisa. She's our regional specialist for Utah, but happens to be out of the office this week. So I'm covering for her. But with that, I know that's a lot of information to digest. I'm happy to take any questions there are in the chat right now. Or if you need some time and want to reach out later, then please do. I'll drop my personal info in the chat as well.
Thank you, Whitney. It looks like, I guess, Cassidy, this might answer your question. Cassidy says she's in the middle of the application. What's the contact info to email if I get stuck? Is it just that info@marketlink.org?
Yes, that is the best way to get in touch with us, especially this time of year when it's busy, since our whole team monitors that. So you'll get a fast response reaching out there.
Thank you, Whitney. Yeah, this is a really amazing program to help you both get up with accepting SNAP and then also the scholarship for I'm losing my word. Not the materials, the
SNAP equipment.
The equipment, that's it. I couldn't think of the word. So yeah, I highly recommend working with MarketLink. They're really amazing. Here's the contact info. Whitney just put that up, and I will send that out along with our wrap-up email. Does anyone have any further questions for Whitney about MarketLink? So that you are a nonprofit, right? That particularly works with markets and farmers to get set up with SNAP and with the equipment. So they really do this, for the love of it and to make sure that SNAP is accessible at markets and farmers across the nation. So thank you for your work.
Maya, thank you so much for hosting us.
Okay, so I'm just going to share. We are at the end of our time for today. I am happy to stay on for those of you that still want to do some networking. But before I stop recording, I do want to let people know about some upcoming events that are going on. So this is just what's happening in the next month or so. Tomorrow is actually the last day of the Pennsylvania Farmers Market Manager Conference. I will be presenting tomorrow about our data collection project. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Our monthly member calls are the first Friday of each month from 9 to 10 a.m. So we have our next one. Let me just check my calendar. April 3rd. So next Friday, April 3rd at 9 a.m. Members will get the link to that. If you're interested in joining and becoming a member, I'll put that QR code back up in a minute. And we also have the Food System New England 21-Day Racial Equity Habit Building Challenge. This is something we take part in every year. This year it's happening April 20th to May 10th, and we have signed up as an organization leader. And so we will be doing it kind of all together. So any markets or vendors that are interested in signing up, please send me an email or a DM and let me know, and we'll make sure that we get you signed up for that so you can take part in that with us. They do have weekly calls that they set up that are national calls for people to ask questions or just explore the content. And it is a really great program. Like I said, we've been taking part in for many years. So I'll quickly put up the QR code for those of you that want to join the network. Here's our member markets and the QR code to join. As always, if you have questions, feel free to email me, call me, text me if you have my number. I think it's on the bottom of my email, so everybody probably has my number. And thank you all for being here. So I'm going to stop the recording now, and we'll move into the networking portion for those of you that have some time to hang out.